Welcome one, welcome all. It's been 2 weeks, but we're back for round two of the Simufur ACC GT3 series. We're here at the Nurburgring, but not just the GP course. We're we're going into the full Nordschleife course, the full Nurburgring 24-hour course. So, as I said before, the GP course and the green hell itself. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. Once again, I am Suzuka Shark, and alongside me is Nick. What do you think of these drivers taking on the challenge of the green hell?
As you can see here, not much drivers here this time around. We have about actually, I stand corrected. We have 26 drivers this time around. So, I thought we won't have enough drivers this time. For as drivers, we have heard in the driver chat that drivers have signed out due to various reasons, not feeling well. Some actually are down in sickness. I hope they get well soon. But if you see here on, if I see here on the timing sheets are correct, there's only 4M drivers this time around. So definitely not the track that AMs will like to learn the very big course on, and certainly it's not the track for the lighthearted because it is a very long track. Lap times here about 8 minutes every single lap, so you better make it count, or else you're basically wasting your time here. You only get about 8 laps here, give or take. But definitely going to be interesting to see how these drivers behave here. As we see here, some drivers just getting all their crashes out earlier in practice. But 5 minutes remaining to this practice, and we might see some familiar faces getting setting times on the timing sheet. But if practice previously was anything to go by, we might have new pole sitters this time around because some drivers here more time sitting in the Nurburgring than most people. So it's gonna be interesting to see how things go.
Yep, and you did mention the low turnout. Our usual favorites, Cerebine and Kestrel, for what would usually be the lead of this race. Unfortunately, both couldn't make it as it seems because if as far as I've heard, Kestrel's ill and Cerebine does. I don't think Cerebine's feeling like racing at the moment because of some I don't know technical stuff. I'm not sure practice, but yes, we do have some new favorites here. Well, as you can see, RK is still in the hunt. He was and our previous winner in Valencia because Cerebine had a penalty back in Valencia, but Denak, our previous race winner here, I have there's an interesting story about Denak because earlier I've heard that they had some actual technical problems. Their pedal spring broke, so they do have a new pedal spring and they're back racing. So it's nice to see Denak back in the wheel and racing in the green hell.
Oh, I didn't know that the brake pedals broke. I knew that they had the brake pedal upgrade. So Danex coming in to the N24, I assume with new pedal fields and basically a new configured pedal. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Danek sorts the car out. Having a new brake pedal change before a race is definitely not fun. Having it change before N24, now that's going to be insane. As you see here, driver Danek coming down out from Foxhole, coming down into the corners of it's hard to read the track map here because I forgot where everything is, but it's gonna be hard for us commentators. But it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers behave in the N24. But yes, uh, shuffling in the car, in the driver standing from round one, and there's a lot of stories behind the scenes. Unfortunately, I was a bit too busy to catch up on stuff, but it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers behave. I see here Danak running wide here. Not much of a runoff you get here, especially of how narrow the Nordschleife is. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how drivers tackle this. The likes of RK, Vossi, we have likes of some very certain pro drivers coming down into sub 20s. It's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers survive, even though they can do per lap times. You don't really finish the race in one lap. You finish the race in more than 8 laps, especially here in 24. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers behave and also survive this entire track. As you see here, following Chimeras, as you can see here, off into the wall if you're not careful. You can't push too hard here. If you do, you're gonna have issues with drivers having just going out wide here. And with how ACC physics works, you're just gonna run wide, hit the grass, and it's just all over for you. And you really don't want that in such a big long track.
Yeah, that's what I love about the Nordschleife. It's not it's way less about one lap pace. It's way more about surviving the course. It's just being consistent in general. That's the whole nature of this whole course. It's a long, I'd say eight. Was it? Is it eight? Yeah, it's a 7 to 8 minute course for the GT3 cars. It's you'll really make mistakes wherever you go, but the goal here, in my opinion, is to make as minimal mistakes as you can, because while the Nurburgring is very punishing, it's up to you to try to control how it punishes you.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, lap times here. If you're a pro, you're gonna start at 8:15. And it only goes downhill from there. We have the real pros will be here. Be doing sub 8-minute tens. But if you're Power Simufur, I've seen the fastest times here doing 8:15s. You'll start to get the silver drivers getting into the 8:20, 25s to 8:35s, maybe even further back, depending on how experienced they are. And then the M drivers will slowly feel their way at the back. But it's something different as well, because we know that some drivers are more experienced here in the Nordschleife, so you might see some M drivers getting mixed up all the way in the front, because the Nordschleife in and of itself, a very unique track in a way that you see here so many undulations, so many curves, but the track so narrow. You only get you basically have to know this track like the back of your hands. And I know some of drivers here live and breathe the Nurburgring, the Nordschleife. So for some, it's gonna be a walk in the park, and for some, those that are used to being in the front are gonna struggle, because all they want is to just make sure they don't have any incidents. And for me, my best lap time here, about 124, the last time I drove here a few days ago. But we know that there are drivers that will be faster, but will they survive the entire race? I think, as Suzuka says, minimal errors and also minimal punishments by the track to you to make sure that you can stay on top, and that's going to be very important this time around.
Yeah, and for myself, I don't know what laps I set here in the
Ooh.
North. Like, oh, Scammer's goes loose. But as I was saying, I don't remember what kind of laps I set here in the Nordschleife, but one thing's for sure, I do have quite a lot of experience with this course, especially in different sims like Assetto Corsa and the original Assetto Corsa and Gran Turismo Sport. And I might get this course on iRacing, because week one of the AC of the iRacing GT3 series for them is on taking place on the full 24-hour course. So that's definitely going to give me more track time when it comes to this beautiful circuit. But as the drivers are finishing their laps right now, yeah, nobody set a lap, because uh, again, I think these are just practice runs. There's no representative laps at the moment. The laps will come during qualifying.
Yeah, speaking of, there is one quirk of the N24 that is featured in ACC, is that drivers don't need to take the full 8 minutes before they start qualifying. This is not really usually the case for most sims, where you're required to take the whole 8 minutes to before you can start qualifying lap. In ACC itself, you're able to just turn back from the GP track, and that's how you see people get qualifying. I think some drivers that are new here, that have not driven in N24, will not understand this, but once the AM drivers see this, they'll start to understand that you could just turn back from the GP track. As we might not notice this, because usually that's not the route you take, and you can start qualifying lap there, and it's going to be interesting to see how this shows, because you only get drivers are only given 10 minutes per class to do a qualifying, and if you're gonna take the 8 minutes out of the entire 10 minutes just to do a installation run, that's not gonna be fun. So drivers here are gonna get one shot, and that one shot is to do it, and it's gonna be green light for the drivers to start, for the AM drivers to start going out, and it's gonna be interesting to see who goes out first, who's be able to survive, and especially for the AM drivers, who is gonna be. Oh, I stand corrected. Why is the pros out this time around? Apparently the pros are out.
Maybe I think I have an idea of what they're doing. They're letting the drivers out one by one. So first they're letting the pro drivers out the pit lane, then the silvers, then the ant. Because if you're gonna let how many is that? All 27 drivers out, it's going to be chaos out of the pit lane on their outlap. So I think it's very ideal that we separate these drivers by class on when it comes to coming out of the pit lane. As you see, Danak right now, one of the pro drivers in that Ferrari.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who drives out first. But I was always because previously we had the AMs go out first, but if the pros go out first, you're able to see the pros do it. So for now, we would like to see a few drivers coming out, but as you can see here after this fast sections, coming down into RTL curve, and as well as Warsteiner. So it's gonna be a small return from the GP track, and it's gonna be a starting the run lap. RK in front of Danek here. Danek definitely does not want to be held by RK definitely does not want to get held up by RK. But I think we're gonna follow RK on the lap into this. But obviously we can't do a lap by lap here in the Nordschleife, but we'll try to be as close as possible here, enjoying the fun as the drivers here turn back into the GP track, as we sit here, coming down into this track straight. You can see the cones blocking the view, blocking any sort of interference that you have between the two drivers, and it's going to be straight down into the start finish straight, coming down into turn 1. Usually, in the Nurburgring GP, you'll be able to turn back, cut back into the stadium section, but given that this is the N24, we don't go into the stadium section, we cut back straight into the remaining corners of the track, skipping the stadium section, braking as we usually do on the cones there, turning in quite close to the left side, and brake, turn in to the right, and that's forward curve done. We're gonna go into the downlock hairpin. As usual, strong braking here into the corners, and you'll be able to not lose much time here, but RK still going a little bit too wide as you come down into the Schumacher asses. So it's going to be standard procedures coming down to the GP track, making sure you don't lose much time here, coming down left side, right side, left corner, left curb, right curb, after braking here at the 100-meter mark, turning in on the left. It's going to be a very interesting to see how RK tackles the Nordschleife section as we come here, as coming down to long right sweeping corners here. You know, it's a small time to take a break. It's where the N24 has the chill time, you know, to take a break before the real challenges happen. As you know, coming down to the last two corners, making sure you don't take too right to validate a lap time, and it's gonna be the Nordschleife coming down into turn 13, coming down into it's called. Forgot the name of this corner already. It's the Sabine
I think this
Schmitz
is the
corner.
yeah, that's the Sabine
Yes.
Schmitz.
Coming down to Hudson Bar, as you can see here, turning in. Not too much. Actually, Suzuka,
Yeah.
how scared are you in this in actually in Sector 1 of Nordschleife? It's been a while since you've driven here.
It looks intimidating, but I think it will be just fine if I come back onto the racetrack and try out the Nordschleife. But hey, Arcade's doing it pretty nicely so far. Here he is, as they can put the power down in one of the few straights here before we get to the oh so intimidating Flugplatz. Hopefully they will not flip the Ferrari over there. It looks like that Ferrari's still on all four wheels, pointing the right way, pointing the right axis into this one of the few high-speed sections of this oh so elusive circuit. Into the left-hander, that is a very sharp, high-speed left-hander. I remember the
Didn't
Ferrari; it's
quite.
quite tricky here. Into a hard braking. Oh,
Oh,
Arcade
and
just
he
got
missed
that
it.
wrong. Oh,
Yeah, definitely not the best way to take the corner. Shooting Kreuz itself, a very crazy corner where you have to trust the car, lift it just right. But as the car, you know, goes on its own on that corner, as you hit the see the left curb shows up on Shooting Kreuz, you gotta slam on the brakes to make sure that you get enough braking to get into take Arenberg right. But I think RK basically skipped a little bit on the corner, causing a little bit of problems here and there, but definitely that's how you kind of lose your lap times here in Nurburgring, where you just basically lose it all in just one lap like that. And you can see here qualifying already cutting, already a few minutes have passed, and definitely time has cut short in and of itself. So definitely drivers can't really afford much time to lose. As we see here, drivers already on their way. Not sure how the rest of the drivers are surviving all this, but see here, Laparcho already the silvers already out. So definitely gonna be interesting to see how the drivers shuffle themselves out, especially at the exit of the start finish straight, because that's where you see drivers at the that are finishing the lap show up, as well as the new drivers trying to start a lap gonna come up on the right side as well. So drivers cannot just suddenly cut into the left side. That will be a very clear impeding of lap times, and it's gonna be very dangerous for some. But because qualifying, given that it's weird nature, some will have to take those into account. But for now, if the Portrait has started their installation lap, they will be turning into the Nordschleife. Subby Schmidt's corner, one of the scary ones, and it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers will tackle it. But Leparcho, pretty much a veteran driver here in N24, so they're not too worried about it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how their lap is compared to RK. Currently, though, you see braking just right through the whole section of Sector 1, making sure that on some curbs that you can take here, some you can't. But Leparcho being very conservative here, making sure you don't take any of the curves, because how tall the curbs are at Nurburgring. Some drivers, if you take it too high, might actually cause your car to rotate, and that's not going to be a good idea for some drivers. But if you are a car that's not really good at rotating, like the Mustang, the M4, you might want to take the curves just to give your car a little bit more rotation. But for the likes of a Ferrari or the NSX, as you see here on certain drivers, you definitely don't want to take the curves just to make sure that you don't cause any mistakes that you might get. And coming down into straight and quite, will Leparcho make it good, make it well? Lift it a little bit, but braking hard. Will he make it to Arenberg? Yes, they do. Coming down a little bit wide, but still surviving the lap. That's what's more important. Coming down into Foxhole, make sure you don't run too wide.
Yeah, that's the ideal line Parcho's taking, but might I point out, Parcho is right now on an invalid lap, so I'm quite surprised to see that they aren't taking the Joker lap, but
Oh, you're right.
I guess Parcho's just warming up just a little bit, but Parcho behind the scenes before we got into this race has been doing lots of practice. If I remember, he was one of the drivers with the most laps set on the practice server, so it's going to be interesting to see how that practice pays off with the number 47 Zhejiang Ferrari as they head into. I still need to remember the corners at the back of my hand. I just know how to turn left, turn right. I don't know the names.
Yeah, that's past Kellenhart right here, but it's gonna be the downward sections of the Nurburgring as we coming down here into miss coming down. So it's gonna be the track map here. Even though we have track maps here on the commentary booth, it's gonna be hard for us that we know this corner, this track by heart, but I'm not enough of a N24 not to know every single name of these corners. Some I might mess it up, but this is the alternate exit of the Nurburgring coming down uphill. It's gonna be all uphill here, so they have to make sure that they don't lose time coming down into especially this right-hander uphill. So it's all gonna be uphill here. Drivers have to be very careful coming down into the what's it called again? The track, the corner where Niki Lauda crashed. Now the links, and it's gonna be all up here coming down into Bergwerk. Very strong hairpin here. A good exit, and it's gonna be flat out all the way up until you hit mid curver. So it's gonna be a very long uphill battle here. Fourth gear, fifth gear. And if you have enough if you don't have enough downforce here, it's gonna be nice because you'll have a good time to overtake. There is a chance that some drivers might try to attempt at overtake here, right before mid curver. So it's gonna be, you gotta be careful here. Tracks here bumpy. You don't really got much place to do it. So coming down to mid curver, tap slightly on the brakes. Some drivers might downshift into fourth, but for Leparcho, strong on fifth. A little bit tap on the brakes before coming down into the right-hander, and then a hard braking here just before, or else you'll activate the EB test too much and you just go into the barrier straight in front. But for now, very strong run right before carousel. But here, braking right before it, there's a graffiti in the floor that you just follow up and you just keep it on the inside too fast and you get spit out. But if you do it just right, like how the Portrait does it, you get carried out just nice, and you gotta be patient as you step on the throttle, getting out of the carousel, coming down into X-Bach before you're going to Hoa. This is a bit extra turf on the outside. Be careful. That tap on the brakes here. Third gear, coming down into Hoa. Make sure you don't go too wide, or else you invalidate your lap time. But Leparcho has invalidated your lap time, so it's gonna be an interesting lap. I mean, on the Whipperman, third gear throughout this whole thing. Some
No,
drivers,
it's
some
not
on fourth.
Whipperman just yet, I think.
No,
Now,
that's
now,
Whipperman. Oh, that's Whipperman.
now
Sorry
you're
about
on
that.
YouTube. Yeah, parts are
No,
waving at the
that's not
spectators
YouTube
right
corner
there.
just yet. That's not
Oh,
YouTube
not
corner
yet.
just yet. No, that is YouTube corner right coming
There
out
we
right
go.
here.
Now it's
That's
YouTube
Brunchen.
corner. Parcho
Yes.
right now waving at all the video recorders. You know, hopefully trying not to be in a YouTube compilation, but Parcho doing well to take that lap cleanly, so they'll be on a good YouTube compilation of nice looking cars. That red Tig Gang Ferrari, especially, a stunning livery for sure. As we head into it's
Bounce
called
Garden.
Garden. It's a jump into the right hander. That's one of my favorite corners. You get good shots over there. Like, it's great for racing photography. Your car all wheels off the ground. It's just a nice photo. It's just a nice photo op.
Yeah, it's definitely a very nice place to take pictures here, especially just seeing how the car behaves because you don't really see GT3s going through the full compression as most do because you're used to seeing GT3s close to the ground, few millimeters off the ground, and here you're basically running a GT3 through a rally course. It's very interesting to see drivers coming down into the mini carousel as well as the main carousel, just you know navigating through all the undulations. It's like it's such a interesting track with such interesting characteristics. You really have to be brave and strong to be able to set any sort of lap time here. Coming down, finally, a good time to take a break as they come into dotting the hole. Just a long straight coming into fifth and sixth. This is where you take a break, relax your arms, remind yourself to hydrate. Some drivers will have water ready on the side. They take a big swig of water right before they come down past the Bilstein Bridge, just slowly getting ready for everything as they come down to break for the final two corners. Is going to be all over again for the next 8 minutes. So definitely a good time to reset. And for Laporte, it's going to be a new. It's going to be trying to start a new lap time because they basically just warmed up through the whole Nurburgring. So unfortunately, they do not have a lap time. I don't think, but. Will they be able to do it? Actually, I think time sheets won't lie to me.
I don't think so. I think
No,
Parcho
Lapartio was on the
does
vet
have the
lap.
time. I guess the radar was lying. Parcho does indeed have a lap, and that's good enough for fifth and the silver class pole. But for now, it is the other Tig Gang, the Tig Gang Porsche of Vossi, who is on provisional pole position, starting alongside Plasma in the front row by 2 seconds. And might I add, the margins in the Nurburgring are going to be much larger because specifically just there's going to be a lot more corners to make mistakes on, and you just really have to execute a perfect lap to just set a huge margin. Like 2 seconds is probably like 2 tenths in the like two or about 2 tenths in this 2 tenths or 200s in a average small size circuit, unlike the Nordschleife, which is like I don't know how long was it? About
Unfortunately, I do not know the facts about that one.
20. According to our Simufur Blue Sky admins, it's 20.8 kilometers and 170 corners.
Yeah, there is a lot of corners in this track, but even though we might say that the margins are bigger, it doesn't change the fact that drivers are gonna be 2 seconds slower each lap. So uh, every second counts, even though the margins are big. I got a feeling that if Vossi is able to stay in front and have no one fighting him, especially Plasma, given that Plasma is 2 seconds behind him, Vossi is gonna run away with this. But if Plasma is able to keep the pressure up, able to follow Vossi through this, the margins might slow down, but as you say here, Plasma, Danak, both in the 217s, but after that, you'll be seeing Wushel, Laporte with the silver driver in the mix at 218s, and then you have Chris and Goyando in 219s. So it's going to be a bit of a pairing that we see here in terms of getting the laps, having faster lap times, but uh, as we said here, lap times don't mean anything if you don't keep it keep it on the track. So some drivers might be fast here in qualifying, but they might not be able to survive it throughout. So it's gonna be interesting to see some of the veterans just running away, and some of the new drivers, they're able to lap here fast. Might not navigate it well when they have traffic in front of them. So we'll have to see how things settle down. But not right now. The fastest laps, a 2:12 by RK, as they just set the fastest lap time on the session. And right now, the slower drivers that have set a lap time to 8:40 at 8:41. But we have some that might come out a little bit later in terms of the lap times.
Yes, right there. As you see, Plasma taking on the full Nordschleife course again. Now, might I add, Plasma is an esports driver for Apex Racing, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do with on ACC because usually their natural habitat is iRacing, but right now they're taking on ACC with an Audi of all cars. It's a pretty interesting car, not a common pick in this sim, but it's great to see Plasma bring his iRacing experience to the table and putting on a solid time right there. That's just really on the edge. That Audi is just giving it everything. That's just taking the curves like a champ. My goodness.
Yeah, the Audi definitely not the most favorable choice here, given its BOP, as well as the fact that it's just not a really fun car to drive when you want to really wring out every last performance out of it. It will fight back, but given it's Plasma, Plasma knows how to drive that car, unlike the most of us. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they behave. They wrangle the car around, as you can see here, taking every last bit of every last bit of track limits here, coming down into the YouTube corner here before they take the corners of S curve and Flance Garden. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers, Plasma, just tackle this coming down into the jump. Coming down here, will he break before that? I'm not sure, but drivers will definitely want to take the jump well, and coming down into the bravery corners here at Flascana 2, and it's gonna be a pretty solid run for Plasma, as rapid as usual. But as you can see here, the ACC
Whoa.
suspension just bouncing around. You don't really see that here in iRacing. I myself feel like iRacing's N24 drives way much easier than ACC. So if you see here drivers that are very good at tackling N24 here, they're gonna have a sigh of relief once the N24 happens in iRacing, and they just can settle down and just have fun there.
M- Might I add, ACC, my experience with ACC compared to Gran Turismo, ACC actually feels much narrower with these GT3 cars compared to Gran Turismo. So I'm not sure if it's my FOVs between the different sims, but ACC definitely for sure it's more challenging in terms of both the suspension and your perspective because there's not you feel like that you don't have a lot of margin for mistakes. I mean, understandably, the GT3 is basically the limit of racing competition here in the Nurburgring in real life. It's actually the fastest category to have like official racing events. Not we're not counting the lap time runners or such as the 919 Evil because they're not hosting race events. The GT3s with their 24 hours of Nurburgring and the NLS, they are the fastest cars to be able to compete here in the Nurburgring. So
Yeah,
it's going to be so basically you're really testing the limits in a competition sense when you're racing a GT3 around this course.
yeah, it's definitely interesting to see, as we see here just now. Plasma 814.3, definitely pushing the Audi to the absolute limits. But yeah, it's, as you said here, it's very narrow here, and race car drivers have also described that the N24 layout in ACC is realistic in terms of how scary it is. So it's definitely interesting to see how. Whoa, Washoe just going sideways here, coming down to the exit. So definitely losing a little bit of time here, but it's still time nonetheless. Will Washoe improve on the time? They do with an 814.9. So it's, as you see here, drivers just lap after lap, just going faster and faster. I definitely cannot compete here. I'm glad I'm not part of it. They just take out the boards. They're definitely not a good look for them, but it's a good thing that they just end the lap. And that's usually not the breaking point for most drivers, but gotta be careful not take out any sort of break boards here. Juan Vido, the M driver to look for. Will they be the M drivers to look for this time around, though? As you see here, Coda doing a 844.2, but no other driver has set a lap time here. I'm afraid JPEG does not have a lap time here. Coda has a lap time at 844. Yes, JPEG does not have a lap time. Uh, who's that? Does not have a lap time. Quinn does not have a lap time. Quinn usually touts that they are very experienced here in the N24, but as you can see here, have not set a lap time yet, and we only have 50 minutes into this qualifying, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers behave, and also set a qualifying lap time. There's not much M drivers here. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 M drivers. So regardless of how you show up here in the N24, you will get points. So it's all about survival, making sure you do not DNF here, or else it's going to be points thrown out the window. So it's definitely interesting to see how these drivers behave, how they might actually get caught up in lap traffic, but it's important to also make sure that they stay predictable just so the drivers can overtake them easily. Hopefully, there's no much incidents between M drivers and pro drivers this time around, but it is the N24. Anything can happen.
Yeah. To update you on the current qualifying standings, we do have RK on provisional overall pole by 1.4 seconds. For the silver class, it is Parcho in the number 47 Tig Gang Ferrari. And for now, in the AM class, Koda is the only one who have set a lap time here and putting them on provisional pole by default. But we reckon that there will be more AMs setting in more time, such as 1V, who could take the challenge and steal that AM class pole position. As we see 1V coming out of, I believe that is. No, I'm not.
Yes,
I don't.
Flans Garden, yes.
Yeah, Flans Garden. Yeah, I keep forgetting the names. It's all German. It's all unfamiliar. I just know Carousel, YouTube.
The mini carousel's
all
coming
the
up into
English
corners.
terminology. Yeah,
it's gonna
the
be
mini carousel.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting
And
to see how these drivers behave because this is the mini carousel here. But as you can see, Huangvi throughout the whole lap has been pushing in and out of certain corners, so definitely still not too familiar with this track. But for the M drivers, it's all about survival. So we're not too worried about them able to remember every single corner. But remember as well that when races start happening, you'll see lap traffic by lap traffic, and if you're not careful, you don't have much places to overtake here. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they mix up in the field.
yeah, 1V right now in the back straight and looking to set a decent. In my books at least, I think this is going to be a lap that will put them on provisional AM class pole as they head into the final few corners. These are really tricky corners. It's a high speed into low speed. You really have to slow down the car the right way, just left, right, and all the while you're braking down into the low speed corner. Quite a lot of slowdown, and you're twisting and turning. That's actually one of the most intimidating corners for me. And oh, but yeah, that is an intimidating corner to summarize the whole Nurburgring lap, and that is 1V on the provisional AM class pole.
Yeah, the 134.4. It's not something to scoff about. That's 136.3. My bad. It's definitely a very fast time as we see here. A Mustang in front of them. I think that's a dip in front of them. So not to worry about it. Dipping Sauce and me have raced around here a very long time. So dip being in the 118 is definitely a good car to tow behind. But I think that's Vossi behind all of them. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Vossi might get impeded throughout this whole thing. But they're all entitled space throughout this whole thing. So Vossi might need to back out and redo a qualifying lap just to get some clean air in front of them for a new qualifying run. But for now, Electroshocks coming up into Mert Curver through the uphill section here. So another driver here that we see in the M class. Actually, no, not in M class. In the silver class, in the Porsche, going strong here. The Porsche actually struggles a little bit on this track because of how bumpy it is. The last time I drove here in the Porsche, it was compared to the NSX, it was so much more uncompliant. But if you know how to just tame it right, it would be very rapid here, as you can see here coming down into coming down after Mert Curver. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce this
before the carousel.
Yes, it's like coming down to carousel itself as well, just making sure that you don't overshoot yourself. A lot of drivers just brake a bit too late, trying to get every last kph down into the carousel, and usually what happens is that you get spit out. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers behave. But as you can see here, the driver behind them already running very fast. I'm not sure if they're gonna get impeded, but at the end of the day, Vossi's on the qualifying lap, so that that Mustang behind them is just gonna be unfortunately be in the way for them, so they have to back out once they show up.
I don't know who that Mustang is. It might be. Might be Quinn. Was it? No, it's Giondo in that.
Oh,
Other
that's
Mustang.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I like Giondo, the much faster driver. So yeah, that's the thing about the Nordschleife. You really hate to have traffic here because it's a narrow circuit and you just want to get past as quickly as possible. I mean, it's easier if it's you're a GT3 or a GT4 car, like in the real life Nurburgring 24 hours of Nurburgring race. But if you're both in a GT3 car, it's going to be really tricky. And I do want to apologize for our German viewers for us constantly butchering the German names and just forgetting them. Yeah,
Listen,
you're gonna have
listen.
to go through that throughout the whole race.
We're both Asians here. We're not. None of us are
Yeah.
German, and unfortunately, we can pronounce any other language but German. Unfortunately, so it's gonna be interesting to see how we just survive this whole thing. Like you're gonna see us pretty disconnected in terms of talking about corner by corners, because unfortunately that's just not our strong suit here in the Nürburgring. We do. I've raced here in N24. I know the corners like the back of my hand, but I just don't know the names of the corners like the back of my hand.
I don't blame you with cause there are 170 corners. I don't have the time or place to remember the names of all of them. As you see electroshocks coming out of. Dang it! What is this?
Well, you
God.
could just say they're coming into Nottingham Horror because it's the final. It's the very back straight
Oh
of the
yeah.
Nordschleife.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is you're in the back straight right now, and electroshocks hasn't set a lap time yet, but definitely a good shout for the challenge of the silver class pole position, a lot which Parcho has for now. But that is a strong time for the silver class by Parcho. The next silver driver, Ven, is actually 4 seconds off. That's a huge margin from Parcho.
Yeah, it definitely is a very big, huge margin in the standings itself. It's 4 seconds gap between the two of them. So Ven might have to navigate around the pro drivers, or just have the pro drivers just bring them up through Porto as well, because Porto being in front with the pros might have some issues with them squabbling around for time, but not the worst place to be, especially with so much padding. There's four drivers between the pole, Sider, Leparcho, as well as Van. So very nice padding between the silver drivers. They definitely won't like the fact that they might climb forward a bit more if incidents happen, but as a silver driver, you're pretty much set. Just like you can remind myself, just stay calm. I don't even need to set qualifying lap times. Just good lap times, and I got a feeling my competitors won't show up. You know.
Yep. And RK right now, from what I'm seeing, 2 seconds off their delta, so they're definitely going to beat their personal best right now, and they're going to extend their pole position by a huge margin right now. Let's see what the timing sheets update us in. And right
8:11.
now, 3 seconds off of Plasma, so that is RK's just grinding up, putting up the times, and just making it harder for these guys to beat pole position.
Yeah, it's gonna be a breeze. We thought Vossi was gonna walk away, but Vossi's gonna have a strong fight with Plasma. But RK's the one driver that you expect to be basically gone. And honestly, not surprised given the last time we drove in here in the N24. RK was also the driver to just run away through this whole thing. So not surprising one bit. Vossi though, starting a new lap time. I think trying to get away from all the impedance. 6 minutes remaining in this qualifying though. It's gonna be the last run for qualifying. It seems like we had a longer qualifying this time around. I did not notice the qualifying timer, but it's nice to see that every driver has started to set a lap time. We have a few drivers that have not set a lap time though. We have the likes of Kamirs, Oily Rags, Skylar, Quinn, as well as Lunar. Five drivers here that have not set a lap time, so definitely have to pick up the pace. Or I think some of them that are already in the pits decide to just do to start at the back of the grid. Not the worst thing to happen, but I got a feeling that it's not the best strategy. There's only two reasons for that. One is that the Nordschleife is a very narrow track. You do not want to be caught up in incidents, even though it might gain you places, because it's not the best place to basically screw up your entire race. It's gonna be a long, long tow for the drivers here if they mess up. So definitely not the best place, but everyone has their strategies. You might just navigate through them very slowly. But we've seen how drivers rejoin the track, regardless if they're in Simufur or not. You don't really get much options here, especially in the Nordschleife. So we'll see how their strategy pans out. The Quinn coming down into the downhill section of the Nordschleife here. They say that they're pretty familiarized here, but are they familiar with their own car though? The GT3, not the easiest to stop around, especially with the physics here in ACC. So as much as some drivers here are very experienced, certain cars might just pull their leg here and there, basically remind them that they have a car to wrangle around. So the Mustang, not the most fun car to drive around here, I assume, but definitely a car to just hear the echoes of the V8 just rumbling around the forest. That's gonna be a nice car to drive for the next hour.
Yep, the Mustang may not be the most agile, but darn is it beautiful when it comes to its sound. That Quinn just putting the power down as they head into one of the few high-speed sections of this track. Again, I forgot the corner names, but there's a left-hand cake that's pretty tricky to ace, but Quinn's just taking it out nicely into a right-hander, and then we approach the corner before the carousel.
I think the corner you're referring before the left-hander, that's called mud curver. That's the bravery corner, where drivers usually
Bravery.
either decide to brake or not brake through that corner, or to tap the wall or not, because it's gonna be interesting. Carousel though, make sure you don't get spit out. So here, pretty well done by getting spelled out early though, a bit too impatient on the throttle coming out of the carousel. That's definitely a thing that most drivers need to be worried about, because the carousel, with how much speed you're taking it, basically taking it close to 80 kilometers per hour through that very sharp left-hander, very banked as well. And if you put a little bit too much power on it, you would get spit out, and that's when you lose a bunch of time, because you basically lose all grip. You basically lose all. You have to reorientate yourself, and it's not going to be a fun time. Drivers definitely will use that opportunity to overtake you really well here.
Yeah, bravery I can certainly remember because it's English terminology, but Quinn.
Oh,
Oh,
and they go
Quinn goes
wide.
really wide, and that will cost their lap time.
Yeah, and there's not much time left to do it. It's only 3 minutes remaining, so they definitely gonna start at the back of the grid, unfortunately. But it's gonna be nice practice for them coming down into YouTube corner, between the two of them. That's gonna be Brunshin, but coming down to Flance Garden, the hop, the iconic hop estate. Oh, I think they just basically
Oh,
gave up in these two corners,
more.
and to the wall they go.
Yeah, that Mustang unfortunately going rally cross and into a wall. You do not want to do that, especially during the race later on, because if you do have significant damage here and you do need to pit and you are in the Nordschleife, you have a lot of ground to make up. If you go there instead, I get to the wall. A lot of people
Right.
right now pushing the absolute limit and trying to steal pole as Plasma tried to set a lap, but unfortunately, that's not enough to steal pole position. And if things go well for Arcade, they might as well be pole position. They're still out trying to beat their personal best. But Vossi right now on the charge, they could be a potential threat for pole position, although they are down in P4 because Chris, of all drivers, has stolen P3 out of nowhere. But the forecast in terms of this race, I think it's going to look like a Tig Gang duel between RK and Vossi with Plasma right in the middle if things go well. Chris, another potential, but I'm interested to see how they'll do in the race as well. But Wushel, another expert of the Nurburgrings, and definitely a great challenge to the podium places.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers fare. But looking at the top speed, actually no, best sector one. That's best sector one. They're all pretty close. Actually, is there a top speed for these drivers? Oh, what is this? The Lexus though, the fastest down the back down Nottingham Hall, 288 kph compared to the rest. Between 282s, 280s. That's actually where the Lexus is gonna excel. It's gonna be down in the back straight. I think that's common. The last time we drove here in the Lexus with it, that has also been the case where the top speed is just insane on that car. Definitely a car to look out for, but right now, Zsource setting a lap time in the BMW. A bit hard to comply here, as not the most compliant car to drive around here in the N24, but if you see here, driving by Zsource, good braking here, coming down to the carousel will give them a good time gain, but do they do it? Yes, they do. Will they be patient on the exit though? good on power. A little bit too early, getting spat out there. Make sure that they don't lose a bunch of time here. Still 3/10 up on the lap time. Ven on the second BMW as well, 5/10 up basically. Neck and neck in terms of getting time gain throughout all this, but uh, pretty solid drive for the both Cabal esports sim sports drivers. It's gonna be, oh, I just realized, a 9, 10, 11 for Cabal. So it's gonna be basically a team convoy throughout this whole race.
Yep, and in terms of teams, it looks like Tiggang are for sure dominating the Nordschleife, the fastest Blue E driver for now. Actually, the fastest Blue E driver that is set for sure. I think that's Dipping Sauce in the 38 Mustang down in P8. And it's as you mentioned, the triple Cabal train of Giondo, Zizek, and Ven in P9, 10, and 11, with Ven being representing the silver class front row. Because Parcho all the way up in P7, that's going to be a tough battle for Ven if they want to steal the win of the race from Parcho. But as we saw last race, Ven was able to steal. I think it was Ven. Yeah, that was Ven able to steal the win from Parcho down to race pace. So while Parcho may be quick in qualifying, Ven might have a few tricks up their sleeve when it comes to racecraft.
Maybe, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's in Cabal's best interest for all drivers involved to just keep it alive. Keep it straight. I think there's a few drivers that might have good times here, but it's gonna be interesting to see how things head up. Qualifying at the end of qualifying though right now, so drivers are slowly getting their last laps here, but it's gonna be interesting to see how things end up. But see here, P1 to P6 already settled. Laparcho is on a 1.5 seconds improvement here in P7. So it's gonna be a few positions that are gonna jump up, maybe P5, maybe P6, maybe faster than that. It's gonna be interesting to see where the silver class driver will end up. Vendo on a 2.3 second lap improvement, and Zsource as well. All drivers on the lap improvement. They are still qualifying right now. So with a free track, it's all game. They just gotta make sure that they're not too greedy, because if they are, they might invalidate lap time, and that's gonna be basically a wash, a throw out of all that effort just to get a faster lap time. That's not a good idea. But also, I just remembered, drivers need to remember to practice their pit entry. It's gonna be a very weird pit entry for all of them, so it's gonna be interesting to see if any drivers forgot to do the pit entry. It's gonna be a very long stop go 30 if they do not serve their pit entry right. So who's that? That is
That was
Ven.
a BMW. I think it was Ven. So Parcho guaranteed silver class pole, but I think the other driver out there is Kamirs, but I'm not sure if Kamirs is going to put up a challenge for Parcho. I think Parcho has it in the bag for now and just and it's just flexing. It's just extending their pole position by the looks of it, cause maybe they might outqualify their teammate Denak, but we'll see.
Yeah, but it's gonna be interesting to see how. To be fair, I feel like Parcher is definitely fighting for overall points this time around, because what's the point? It's like Silver's pretty far back. You're in the top 10. You must aim for the top 5, and Parcher with a 1.5 seconds uh, improvement from the previous lap definitely is there. They just gotta make sure that they don't mess up the last 2 corners before they start finish straight. So coming down to dotting her horn, they have to plan it right, make sure they remember where the braking points are. Putting 2 feet down on the throttle pedal like usually drivers do, coming down into Bathurst. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they relax, get themselves well situated for the last 2 corners, and those last 2 corners are gonna be the most important during their qualifying session, because right now the time for improvement has reduced. It's 1.2 seconds improvement coming down to the Bilstein corner. So it's important to see where if they get any improvements, or they just bin it all, and it's gonna be the last 2 corners.
Yeah, there is Parcho slowing down for the final sections, this windy final few corners before putting the power down and trying to extend that qualifying gap. They are guaranteed silver class pole, but they want to be bumped up to
GG.
P6. Yeah, out qualifying Danak. So it's interesting to see how the strategies will play between the Tig Gang teammates.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for in the and it's just insane. These drivers have showed up. I would not be able to fathom myself driving these kind of lap times. So 8:11 by RK at the start, and it's 8:12, 8:13s, all the way down to 8:45. The last driver here. It's going to be a very big pace gap, a 34-second pace gap. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers behave and how these drivers survive this entire race. Drivers are now starting to remember to get their fuel in, get the strategies right, get the tires right. Drivers are required to have a pit stop in this race, so they gotta make sure they get their strategies right, and also they should really at this point recount where they should do their pit entry. The qualifying lap will run. Actually, will they run the full qualifying lap? I don't remember, but for now, assume if they don't have much time to think about it. But I think they're gonna have to run a full qualifying lap. That's gonna be 8 minutes of just warming up before the start of the race. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers warm up.
From what I remember, I think straight and you take the whole back straight, just slowly weaving, dragging those straights to generate warmth within all four tires. So you basically, I think you do all have all of that straight line to just get ready to warm up the tires, to prep everything, to get everything into race trim. So whatever the format is for formation laps, we'll see about that later. But just to tell you again about the for the silver class, it is Parcho, and for the AM class, it is Juan V. So it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers will stack coming into the race, because qualifying is one thing, but can you nail that consistently for an hour, especially this whole circuit? 8 minutes of this whole circuit. You do not want to be making mistakes. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 40, approximately 8 laps. Yeah, approximately 8 laps of this circuit. So it's going to be interesting to see how things will go.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see how things go. Hopefully, we'll have a clean 8 laps, but for some, it's gonna be a hell of 8 laps coming down into drivers starting to form themselves on the grid itself. An hour of just driving here with traffic, man, at you. As me being awake at what is this, 2 in the morning? I definitely dread it. But for some drivers that are definitely not in these weird hours in the morning, they're gonna love it because it's gonna be the time where you show the world you are able to drive here, and especially for the drivers in the pro class, it's gonna be easy for them, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I told you it was the back straight, as you see
A
drivers lining up. And I assume we get to our grid rock. So on pole position, we have RK for Taegang Racing, starting alongside Plasma, sharing that front row in that number 112 Audi. And behind them is number P3, the Lexus of Chris for Gator Racing, alongside Vossi for Taegang Racing. That third row behind them is taken by Wushel for Shark Racing and Parcho for Taegang Racing. I forgot to say number 69 Porsche Nice. P7 and
nice.
P8. P7 is Denak for Taegang Racing, starting alongside the Blue E Mustang of Dipping Sauce. And completing our top 10 is Giondo and Zizors. That is the first Cabal row. That is the two of them just sharing that. P11, P12. P11 is Vent for Cabal and Blue E Oily Rags colon 3 for Blue E. P13, we have another Blue E car, the BMW Vex, starting alongside the Lamborghini of Auras. P15 and P16 taken up by Saber and MNU. P17 and 18, we have Garage 42 Swingley and Electroshocks for Taegang Racing. Completing out our top 20 is Juan V for AM Class Pole, and P20 is Czar in that was it Lucasade McLaren? P21 and P22. We have Koda and Quick, the number 123. P23 and P24. We do have Wolf and Foxtail for Blue E and JPEG Fox for in the number 12 Aston Martin. P25 and P26 we have Blue E's Camirs starting alongside the Honda of Skylar Vixen. P27 and P28 is Quinn, and completing our grid is the Honda of Lunar.
Surprisingly, we are able to finish the lap run, but because we only have 38 drivers around here, but definitely a nice way to end off the grid. But it's gonna be very, as Rich Control has said in chat, we have a very weird mix-up on the rear, so at the rear of the grid. So drivers have to be very careful to navigate through all this. Hopefully, drivers are able to navigate through all this during the GP track, but some drivers are gonna have to navigate all this through the Nordschliefe, and that's not a very fun place to overtake. I'll tell you that.
Indeed, as the drivers start rolling and trying to warm up those tires, trying to get all four corners nice and toasty before they approach the main straight. They're taking their time right now on this section. Plasma actually kind of overtaking, but make sure to stay behind RK when it comes to the race as they head into the final few corners, which will significant signify the start of this race. But for now, it's going to be interesting to see because normally the Ferrari not so good at the start. Plasma within that Audi in a naturally aspirated engine can pull as from personal experience. Even if I got pulled in Kailabi, Plasma was able to outrun me. The legs of that Mustang are not to be underestimated. But can RK do better than me and be able to manage the Ferrari coming into turn 1? But the bigger question is, who will be the king of the ring here in Simufur as the drivers start alongside each other, waiting for the green light? And it's green light, and away we go. Plasma starting alongside RK, but RK still slightly ahead. Here comes Bossy right in the middle. Will he go for a send? He's going into turn 1. There goes Bossy down the inside, but Plasma in the middle. It's a 3 wide, but everyone, it's RK and Bossy side to side. The Tig Gang cars battling it out, and RK is almost about to lose position to their teammate. They're losing P1. Now they're on the brink of losing P3, but for now, Bossy filing right behind them and saving things for later.
Yeah, Gator almost had a run on Bossy, but luckily for them, everyone survived it all. But it's definitely interesting to see that most drivers have basically chilled out. Our timing grid's going insane right now with all the drivers going through all of it. Hopefully every driver here has slowly settled down as drivers have, but Plasma being the gainer of all that, definitely interesting to see that they have survived it all. Vic, though, maybe have a small tap. We're not sure what's happened there with Coda, but definitely drivers starting to shuffle them through it all. But we do see here the vent has started in the pit lane. Not sure what has happened there with the driver. So definitely a few drivers that might not have been ideal to start in the pit lane. Some have decided to start in the front. So good to see things shuffle around. But RK, Chris has definitely overtaken RK in the Lexus. Not the best time to get overtaken here. So it's going to be not the best time because the Lexus is not really that good in the Nordschleife section, but they are very good on the straight. So RK is going to have a very hard fight with them for the position start here. But as you can see, Whoosh already back of RK. RK has to pick up the pace, get the tires warmed up, get ready to get into the Nordschleife for the next hour or so.
Here we go. The drivers are running into the green hell. RK unfortunately dropping like a stone. They went from P1 to P4, and that's not going to do them well because Plasma is on a charge right now, and I believe they're quite. Fossey is pulling in behind Chase, but for now, RK is really under threat from the likes of Wushel, Denak, and Parcho.
Yeah, and looking down in the timing sheet as well, Guayando has dropped into P11 of all this, dropping a few positions down from their original position. So it's definitely not the best time for a few drivers here. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers just survive this whole thing. Plasma, though, has this all locked in. They know they are fast in the race. They don't need to worry about all this. They just keep driving like they should, just keep pushing it. As you can see here already, Voss, even though fast in qualifying, already close to a second off pace. It definitely shows how experienced Plasma is. It's just racing in general. Rossi has to warm themselves up, has to slowly catch up. But I can see here in the timing sheet already, Chris 4/10 behind, RK behind 4/10 behind Chris. Definitely not the best time to get overtaken in the GB track, and that's definitely showing the Ferrari. Oh, as you see here, Chris going out wide. He's gonna crash out. No,
Oh
survives
my
it.
goodness. I
Good
have
lord.
no idea. I have no idea how Chris saved that, but that Lexus, that could have been a terrible accident. But for now, Chris is still in the fight and currently under threat from Wushel, Denak, and Parcho. That train just, I feel like Wushel is just leading, right now, Wushel is leading a train of cars, waiting for other drivers to make mistakes, as seen from Chris. And that is quite a long train indeed. You do have the Tig gangs of Danak and Parcho and the Blue E cars of Dipping Sauce and Oily, both in the tow of each other. The teammates helping each other out with their own slipstreams throughout the whole course.
Yeah, from what I see here, Wushel has a train all the way down to Goyando in P11. It's going to be a very long drop if you have any mistakes here. All of them all within a second of each other. But it's good because you need a reference point. You need a toe. You want to make sure that you keep yourself in check. You know why? For Dottingham. If you keep yourself clean, you'll have a very massive toe on the back straight. And if you do, that's where you pull away from the drivers behind. Vex is already a second behind Goyando. Goyando definitely does not want to let go of this train just to make sure that they just, not get pulled away. Crystal, the guy in P4, if because of their 3-second gap between RK, they definitely have a problem coming down the back straight because Wushel might have a run. But then again, it's a Lexus. You don't need to worry about it. Qualifying 290 k's down the back straight, basically 10 kilometers per hour faster than the entire grid. They definitely don't need to worry about any of this in the top speed section, but they have to worry about the fact that Wushel might just think about having a look at them at these corners, coming down to the uphill, coming down into the Bravery corner. That's where the Lexus basically doesn't bode well, but they still, as you can see here, uphill section, the Lexus already going away. 1.2 seconds to the gap to Wushel.
Danak definitely looking much closer to that short racing Porsche of Wushel. That Ferrari just sniffing up the rear bumper, trying to get as much slipstream and straight line speed, because the Porsche, not the best straight line car, but Ferrari using all of that tow to its advantage to try and get past Wushel. But this course is very narrow, so it's going to be very tricky to set up an overtake, because Wushel is hugging those corners tightly. Wushel is defending with all their might, and Wushel, great effort from Wushel to defend from these guys.
Yeah, I think Wushel's also not really just defending. They know that most drivers won't be brave enough to overtake in these specific corners. Wushel will just need to make sure that they keep it as close to Chris as possible. Why? Because of the back straight. They need to make sure they are within 8/10 because the toe is not going to stay there for long. The Lexus going to stretch their wings up, coming down into when all the corners are done. They have to make sure they are as close as possible, just so that when they start to pull away, that's when they are the closest. But as you can see here already, the back of Lexus so close to it, that's gonna impede them because the Ferrari at the back, you see here, already affecting about it and already
There
having
goes
a move.
Zenek on the inside. That is a
Oh,
brave swoop of Zenek, but Wushel has the inside line for the next corner. They're already going archy barky, guys. Calm down. You're just going to hurt each other in your lap times. Let's not have a Nurburgring crash compilation.
yeah, but it's insane how close this race is by these drivers here. But I mean, to be fair, it's understandable for Danek. They want the position, they want to have the tow on the Lexus. But Wushel as well just realized, like, it's like I'm not gonna give you the position that easy. At the end of the day, though, you see our drivers just jumping crazy at France Garden. But I was gonna say, you don't want to lose time here as well. It's like, if there's a position, why not just give the overtake? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to lose time. You don't want to lose time. And if you lose time against Lexus is just gonna walk away. And I think Danek is definitely very impatient. It's like, you know what? If you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And it's a good move by the both of them to just keep it clean the entire time.
And Arcade just got past Bossy, but I think them trying to overtake each other, that's definitely cost time between them and Plasm. But right now, Arcade on a charge, trying to make up for all of that lost time. They are currently 1.3 seconds behind the Audi in this back straight, trying to get as much slipstream as they can, but 1 second apart, I don't think you're getting much slipstream that will benefit you in the long run. But guess who has slipstream? That is Denak and Wushel behind Chris, but Chris in the Lexus. The Lexus infamous for having such high top speed. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Denak looking much closer, pulling onto the outside. I think Denak saving it for later.
Oh?
Oh no,
No.
Denak looking close. Denak's going brave. No, not quite.
Nah, nah, nah,
Denak is
nah, nah.
saving it for later and has to contend with the dirty air you get from that warning
Oh.
section as Denak getting loose again. I told you, the dirty air costing him a little bit, and that just put them quite some distance behind Wushel.
Yeah, definitely a very unfortunate time to lose it, because at the end of the day you have a very long back start finish straight. So as if Dottington Hole is not far enough, you have the back straight off the GP track as they push.
Whoa, Denak!
Wushel,
There's
what are you
contact
doing?
between Denak and Wushel. He rolled down Denak. Amazing stuff. Denak side to side right now with Wushel. Can he get the inside line? No, saves it for later. That was really close between Wushel, Denak, and Chris. Wushel with a bit of a love tap on Alexis, and Denak trying to take advantage of it, but unfortunately couldn't. Denak right now really aggressive, looking at the rear end of that Porsche, but I think the field is all settled once again.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun for Wushel though, because what happens now is that you have the Lexus in front of them throughout the Nordschleife. Again, they can't get away through all this, and as you see here just now in Sector 3 itself, they're going to catch up very fast, and well, and you know, now with damage on the bumper, definitely have to think about what they want to do through all this, but coming down to these corners, Wushel definitely has to send it, or else the Lexus is going to run away, as you see here, so close up to the bumper of the back of the Lexus. The Porsche, though, having some front splitter damage, is going to be very annoying to drive through all this, I'll tell you that. So it's going to be a very weird drive for Wushel. It's going to be a very, very panicky drive for the Lexus just to get away through all this.
Right now, Chris is the cork in the bottle for these guys. It's just really tricky to try and get past Alexis. It doesn't have the best cornering, but damn, does it have a lot of top speed. And Wushel with the complete opposite. The Porsche, a very nimble car, but not the best in top speed. So definitely something that will be annoying Wushel throughout the whole race, unless Wushel gets past.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a common occurrence by the three of them. Danak, though, they're definitely gonna take advantage of any mistakes that Wushel has made, but Wushel definitely a little bit impatient, definitely wants to get past Lexus as soon as possible. But that's not going to happen given the characteristics of the two of them. They definitely have to negotiate something out between the two of them. Lexus already sliding around here and there. Not the best in tires as well, so Wushel might have to actually slow down and think about it, because the tires on the Lexus will not survive. But with both of them sustaining damage and Danak basically having no damage, it's going to be an automatic advantage for the Ferrari, unless Wushel does not take any repairs. I think that's up to them to decide if they want to take repairs or not.
I think the damage was minimal. I don't think it's worth pitting for repairs for at least for these guys. Well, if you're a McLaren though, I think it would be important to take the repair, because that car is sensitive when it comes to aero damage. But cars like the Porsche, or especially the Lexus, is one of the older GT3 cars. I don't think they're that dependent on the aerodynamics. So I think Wushel and Chris can get away with it.
Maybe, but you gotta remember as well that Wushel, outside of just the initial tap, had to straighten the Lexus as well. So the second tap definitely gave them a little bit more damage. But see here, Lexus just coming down into Foxhole, already far away. But as you come down into Sector 2, slowly gonna close up again. It's gonna be a very annoying hour for the Porsche, but they just have to strategize it, because if they don't, the Ferrari behind that next gonna have fun with the two of them, and that's gonna be very nice. Coming down, looking at the timing sheets though, RK now 7/10 behind Plasma, and the driver next that's very close will be Saber in P18. Gonna have a move on Skylar here, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these two behave. Will the Mustang be able to bully the Honda? I don't think that's gonna be possible, but anything could happen. It's gonna be interesting to see how the two of them just behave throughout them. And there is a car in the grass. Who's that? That is Swingley.
That was a wreck car. I think that was Swingley. That's dropping places right now. Unfortunately, pointing the wrong way. But yeah, it is the Aston Martin of Swingley who dropped down and now has Quick right behind them for company. So it's two Aston Martins going head to head right now. Swingley trying not to lose that momentum he lost, trying to reduce the damage he's done to themselves. But yeah, unfortunate case for Swingley here as Skylar and Saber continue to run out. The Mustang definitely a much more, I would say, more powerful car. It is also more understeery, and the Honda a very nimble car. So it's going to be interesting to see as Saber goes alongside. It's going to be a brave pass from Saber side to
Easily.
side coming into this section. Oh no, is this Saber going around the outside? This is a brave, no, the
Oh my.
inside. I mean, that is brave from Saber to overtake in the Nordschleife.
Yeah, it's but I have to do it as well because it's gonna be the uphill section here before they go into bravery. So it's a very crucial moment to do it because this uphill section will be the death of the Mustang if they don't do the overtaking as soon as possible. And they notice this. Saber having done the overtake here is gonna be easy because they just pull away, and you can see here the Honda slowly closing in, but not the best. But you can see here going to the braking and to the carousel. First true bravery though. Oh,
Oh,
Skylar
there's Gunner
pushing it
going
too
what
hard.
into
It's
the
the
wall.
wall,
No,
and
this
that
that is
is
not
why they overtake them.
that is not where you want to stop. And thankfully, Skylar prefers to tow in the pit lane, not wanting to cause a bigger accident. But really unfortunate for Skylar. The Honda just catching him out of nowhere as we look at into Guiando's perspective, chasing down the blue E Ferrari of Oily Rags. And right now, Oily Rags quite far away from that train of Tig Gang and short racing. So right now, Oily's in a vulnerable spot.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to see where Oli is in P9. But right now, Guayando. Oh, it's just never mind. It's Arcade that we're looking at right now. Who was he going a bit sideways through there? But here, both drivers close to each other, the Audi and the Ferrari. Very interesting to see that these two have been duking it out for the last 2 laps. It is the second lap here. It's interesting to see that, after 15 minutes have passed and we're just only in the second lap of this race. We don't have much laps in terms of lap count, so every corner counts. It's not about it's not about the laps here in Nordschleife. So very interesting to see that the Audi is still holding strong compared to the rest of the grid.
Yeah, right now Plasma holding a strong lead, but RK in terms of pace is staying behind them, trying to see if Plasma cracks under pressure. But this is Plasma, an esports driver, and it's going to be hard to crack Plasma. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Oh, that's
Anyways,
one
we
way to
have
crack plasma.
well, I know 3 words I can crack Plasma. Something about him being a furry, I guess.
Oh, well, I was just
But
thinking about getting a stop goal from speeding and pit lane, as they usually do.
oh, either way, there is Chris. Yeah, Chris has a
Oh
slow
no,
exit. This is a good opportunity for Marshall, who goes side to side. That Porsche using the momentum, but is it enough momentum, or can
no.
the Lexus get back with the top speed? Not quite. They're side by side. The Lexus regaining once again with those legs. That powerful engine beneath. And there's Denak right in the slipstream, going on the outside of Wushel. Can he get the move done, or is it going to be a save it for later for Denak? Yes, it will be. Denak thinking wise and to save it for another time, because we still have a few more laps to go. And yep, oh, that's it. That going to the inside. Oh, it was a false peak. But Denak looking really close right now. Denak, I feel like he has the power coming into the main straight. But I want to say that was some proper racing between these two in the whole straight.
Yeah, I
That
feel like
was
I think the two of them have to strategize and think about maybe getting a tour onto them because at the end of the day, the Lexus definitely is holding the two of them back, but only in certain areas. So they definitely have to think about maybe helping each other, giving them a small nudge between the two of them just to get past the Lexus, just so they don't have this issue. Because at the end of the day, you can see the gap between the cars on the straights, no matter where you are, coming down into Foxhole, going down into Nottingham Hall, going down into the uphill into Mercover, all of them, they'll just run away. And if they don't overtake the Lexus early enough, you'll have this issue of just having the Lexus in front of your face on the rest of on the track because of just how much more downforce you get compared to the Lexus, and it's going to be very annoying if the both of them don't work out to get past the Lexus earlier. You're gonna get stuck behind this car forever, and they definitely have to
Whoa,
start
that is
getting stuck.
Wushel off the Schumacher S, pulling up and into the inside line. What a brave move from Wushel.
Good lord.
Heading towards the exit of the Schumacher S and finally gets past Chris. But here comes Danak as well. This could be an interesting fight. Again, Wushel having to defend because that Lexus with a lot of straight line speed. Chris going for the inside. There's no way.
Please don't do it.
Chris goes down the inside of the chicane. Take it done. No, Wushel goes for I think Chris got the move done. And Danak going around the outside as they enter the Nordschleife. As again, Wushel, as fast as Wushel gained that with a brave move coming off the Schumacher S, Wushel has instantly lost position as Chris regains with the top speed of that Lexus.
Good lord, I'll be cursing up and down down the grid if I was Wushel because it's just so annoying having to just make the move done and having the car just being fast on power. I would have just shot the corner down just to tell Chris, screw it. And you're gonna have to deal with Danak, and unfortunately, it's Wushel that has to deal with Danak right now because of how things has transpired. Because just how strong the Lexus is on the straights, you can't deny that the Lexus is amazing on the straights. But because of the fact that it's only fast on the straights, it can't do anything else, and it's annoying for the rest of the grid.
Yeah, Chris right now being that massive cork in the bottle, that squabble between those three just brought in Parcho and Oily Rag. So Parcho and Oily are back in this game. It's 3 Ferraris, 1 Porsche, and the Lexus. That's being the Great Wall here in Germany.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that the Lexus, a car that we were expecting to be fast by Lexo Castrol in round 1, now the Lexus being the annoyance on the grid again in round 2, and this time by Chris the Gator, a new contestant compared to Castrol previously. But you see here Danak already at the back of the bumper of Wushel, and Wushel's gonna catch up to the Lexus in a very fast bit. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they just settle themselves down. You still have 40 minutes to go by. You don't have to go. You don't have to pull away that fast. Pit window has just opened as we tick through the 4-minute mark. So drivers are starting to settle themselves down right now. The train between Chris's train will be Chris, Wushel, Danak, Leparcho,
Was that Oily Rags?
all
Oily Rags going around the outside of Parcho. That's going to be brave, but thinks of better rougher. Stays behind. Oily Rags trying to peek, but yeah, that opportunity closed as soon as it opened, unfortunately, for Oily Rags.
Yeah, it's a whole track of just if you're not gonna make the move, I'm gonna make the move because no one wants to get held up, especially in the Nordschleife, because it's gonna be a whole 8 minutes of just getting held up. You don't want that. I don't want that. So it's either you make the move now or you sit back and relax. And most drivers will not want to sit back and relax, unfortunately.
I know a Porsche that does not want to be held back. Wushel right now, quite some distance behind Chris, which is only going to get much larger coming into the next high-speed sections. But Wushel trying to make up for with the low-speed stuff, but that just cost Wushel and Danak right now behind the slipstream. Are they going for a brave move, or will Wushel defend with all her might? It's just this is a game of either attack or defend, and Danak goes down the inside. They touch, and it's Danak through Wushel going right into the wall. Oh no, it's an unfortunate case for the number 69. Not nice Porsche, who drops down into P8.
Yeah, that Porsche has seen some better days with how much dings on that car it has. It's definitely not a fun drive for Wushel. I think Wushel's trying to drive very heavy, very angrily. The Guayando getting held up through all this, they definitely don't want to do this. But if Guayando has a little bit of a heart, they definitely give them a small little push. But Guayando just wants to get past the the Porsche as fast as possible, though. But they don't have to worry about it because Wushel's gonna basically speed past. So, it's gonna be a slide. Oh, it survives it all through that. That's a very brave mount on the curbs there. Definitely not the best way to take that corner, but Wushel just doesn't care anymore. Just gonna send it as hard as they could just to make sure they catch up. And they already catch up to Oily Rags, as you can see here.
Yeah, as fast as Wushel lost their gap to the back, they are slowly regaining, but now Wushel has to contend with Oily Rags and Parcho, the 2 other Ferraris that were on the back of that train. So while Wushel was the second in line, now they're the caboose in this battle. They have to get past these others, and it's going to be tricky, especially in the Nordschleife section.
Yeah, it could be tricky, but Wushell's pace difference is gonna be like it's gonna be a walk in the park for them. But they also have a very damaged car. I don't think they can. Unfortunately for ACC, you can't selectively repair your car. So once you have to take the repairs, it's gonna take a lot of the repairs. So it's gonna be interesting to see here how these drivers behave here. Pit stop time apparently 65 seconds. I'm not too sure about it. Entry here is a bit fast, but it is the standard Nurburgring pit entry, so we don't need to worry about overly long pit entries like Spa. So drivers won't have too much of an issue, but the pit entry, how fast it is. Most drivers get stop go, and I think we already see one stop go by the likes of MNU, and they're definitely not driving anymore. As you see here in team chat, definitely a stop go 30 has been given out to one of the drivers, and definitely not the best way to get a penalty here.
I sure do hope that they practice their pit stops, because this is going to be very damaging if they overspeed in the pit lane. Because again, this is the Nordschleife, hard to overtake, so you really want to not cost yourself any more time than you're supposed to when it comes to pit lane. Right now, Oily Rags having to contend with Partial, and I just received a question in the chat. How are the AMs doing? I would like to. Oh no! As we say that, that's Partial in the wall. Oh, unfortunate for the silver class leader. Will they be dropping positions? I'm not so sure. I think Partial regained momentum as soon as he lost it, but yeah, it lost down to P9, 3 places. Anyways, back to that question from chat. How are the AMs doing? So it looks like it's I think it's Wolf and Foxtail for now in the AM class lead. So yeah, it's P1 for Wolfen, P2 for 1V, and P3 for JPEG. They're actually the only AMs right now on track. So if you finish here in the AM class, you're on the podium.
Yeah, but as you can see, they're definitely
and
not.
whoa!
Oh my God.
2-1, that's got to go well.
Jesus!
That's definitely not
Oh
done well.
no! What are you
And Wushel
doing?
into the wall. Oh, that is just unfortunate for these drivers. And now Oily Rags having to, and it's even worse for Wushel. You really have to feel for them.
Yeah, definitely not
Oh
the best time to
man.
make an overtake. They're definitely driving a little bit angry, but not sure what has happened there. Definitely not the best move by all parties involved, but they definitely have to. It's a good thing that pit window's in, because it's time to get a reset, time to get the cars repaired. They definitely have about 2 minutes of damage here, so definitely not the best time to be hanging out here. Danik already in the pit lane though. We can have a whole slew of people coming down into pit lane because pit window just opened, and it's already 34-minute mark. Another pit, and I think most drivers will underfuel a little bit. They definitely have to pit in now. For those that overfuel, they're gonna have another lap to go before they have the pit stop. But it's gonna see a very busy pit lane. Some with their usual standard 30 seconds. Some gonna have a lot of repairs, and yeah, it's gonna be annoying to say the least. But I was gonna say for the M drivers though, they're not having the best time at their lives. Last lap time for Wolfen, 8 minute 45 seconds. Huang V 8 minute 55 seconds, and JPEG Fox with a last lap time of 9 minute 54 seconds. So not the best times to survive, but they're driving, they're surviving. They just gotta make sure that they stay alive is all it is.
It's going to be interesting because from what I'm seeing, a lot of its drivers are opting to stay out. And then, oh no, that is a very damaged portion of 1V. That's why they lost out to Wolf and Foxtail, who for now has the M class lead.
Oh my, that is a very damaged to a point where you can hear the driver scrubbing. That is a very damaged car. They can't even turn it right. But they are coming down into the mini carousel, and it's gonna be a start finish straight. They definitely do not want to tow it because the tow's a bit long here. But you know what? A very long, about a 2 minute damage repair plus all that. They will still be in the leading lap, I hope. But given it's the Nurburgring, it's either they can't decide to retire or just stay alive and get podium points. Why not, right?
Why does Swingley have windshield wipers on?
Why not?
anyways, glossing through that. So yeah, it's an interesting strategy being played by a lot of our drivers, especially Oily. And this scene, this definitely highlights that this definitely highlights how important consistency is because I'm not sure how Wolfen qualified, but I don't think they were a contender for pole position in the AM class. But look at them right now, leading this race, and there's only 3 AMs, and there's JPEG going past 1V, and that's just a sad sight. But if 1V finishes still, they do
Oh
have
my
a
god.
podium on their hands, and that will definitely help them in the AM class. And oh no,
Oh, the car could barely hold
no,
on.
yeah,
Springboard gone.
he
So
just
it's gonna be
wants.
a very hard entry.
They just want this suffering to be done ASAP. Yeah,
Oh,
crawling into pit lane, but thankfully, it's just a few corners away from 1V. But that is just going to be a very sad experience for 1V in that Porsche. But they
yeah,
do have a
definitely.
podium, and if I'm right, they still have one hand on the AM Championship trophy fight.
Well, they definitely do. It's just more about making sure that they survive it all because, oh, the bumper says it all, skill issue.
Wow, that's just rubbing salt in the wound, mate. Not even I
Listen.
would stoop that low.
Yeah, the N24 is pretty hard. Regardless of how good and how bad you are, you're gonna crash out, and that's everyone just tells that you skill issue.
All right. Anyways, we have Arcade chasing behind Plasma right now. they're definitely they're definitely holding him up well, and Plasma is still comfortably in the lead. But at this point, I think the both of them they might as well come in on their laps. I think that's going to be the strategy. They're going to come in on this lap. This is their in lap, so but they're still fighting each other. That's the thing about the Nordschleife. Even if it's your in lap, it's still a fight because it's just that
Oh
long.
my god.
And there's Plasma going a bit loose. That's not going to do them any favors as RK continues to tuck in the slipstream of that Audi. But that Audi has a lot more power than that Ferrari, so it's going to be a tricky situation for RK.
Well, looking at the speed trap though, both are very comparable. Both doing 280s, 281s. That's exactly why RK is unable to pass them. But that's exactly why, because RK is doing 281s in a slipstream, whereas Plasma's doing 280s without a slipstream. It just shows that the Ferrari is a little bit down on power, and that RK definitely has to make sure that they keep it as close to Plasma as possible, just to make sure they keep it in tow. If Plasma and RK have an alternate pit strategy, that's gonna affect RK significantly because then Plasma will be free of having a driver behind them, and that's gonna be not the best, not the ideal strategy for RK because then you're basically out of luck for a tow, and that's gonna cost you a few seconds down the back straight. But RK here, you can see here, pretty strong on the downforce sections because of the barrier downforce the 296 has. It's gonna be very interesting to see how they strategize through this all. Make sure that the Audi in front does not get in the way, and if it does, what kind of positions do they want to fight for?
Yeah, as RK just trying to make use of all of that aerodynamic grip the Ferrari has over the Audi, and that is Plasma almost ending up in a Nurburgring crash compilation. They went a bit loose, and that's definitely going to cost them cost them time. But now RK is right behind once again. That's the thing about Nurburgring. Make one mistake, and your opponents are sure to pounce. And RK got really close, but thankfully Plasma got the car pointing the right direction before he could take any real damaging advantage.
Yeah, I would not. I would be annoyed as a driver right now. The ACC, the Nürburgring ACC, you just bounce everywhere, and if you don't settle the car right, you're basically putting in the wall. And I think Plasma is right now sweating bullets, just trying to wrangle the car, make sure he just doesn't try to put himself at the wall. And with how narrow the track is, the margins are basically close to zero. RK here though, comfortably staying alive here. I think Plasma is the one that has to worry about pushing it as hard as they could. Do they want to, risk themselves getting into the wall, or would they want to just, chill back a little bit, like RK Pass? At this point, you're so far away from P3, you're basically 4 seconds off Vossi. They don't need to worry about anything, other than, having to get P1. The drivers here will always want to get P1, regardless of where you are. So it's going to be interesting to see how the mindset plays around. Would you want to risk it all, or would you want to just put it back a little bit? I think that's up to a few more scary moments for Plasma to decide.
Well, thankfully, Plasma and RK are due to come into the pit lane because If they go for one more lap, they're just risking themselves. This is their in lap for sure. So, but RK tucking behind the slipstream of that Audi, thinking of getting a last-ditch effort overtake, I assume. But I don't think. I think they're gonna just keep position. And as they come into the pit lane, it's going to be interesting to see how they both come in. Plasma, it's a meme that he doesn't come into pit lanes well. So let's see how it goes for the Audi as they both dive into the pit lane. It's going to be a braking contest between the two. And oh,
Please don't stop go. Please don't stop go.
I did.
No.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's pretty hard to tell. But yeah,
I think we'll notice it once you come out.
Plasma making the most out of the zone where you can make the most speed and diving into their pit box. RK and Bossy also coming into the pit lane. So right now, I think this is going to be everyone's pit stops.
Yeah, it's gonna be the last few pit stops of the race. You're gonna get two chances here. You said that you could do it at the start of the pits or you do it at the end of the pit window, because 20-minute pit window just basically gets you 2 laps. It's either do it now or do it never. And looking at the statistics, who has not pitted here? All of them have pitted. We only have one. Saber has not pitted. Where the heck is Saber? The only driver on the grid that has not pitted, and it's gonna be their time to pit, I hope.
They're definitely going to pit. There's no way.
Yeah, you don't have much time to not pit, so definitely, yeah, the last driver to get into the pit lane is going to be Saber in P9, braking extremely early, though. That's too early. Ven getting caught out through this, but gladly Ven able to stop in time.
Hold on.
Oh,
RK just came out of the pits ahead of Plasma, so RK had a faster pit stop time, and now that just handed RK the lead of the race.
Oh
so
no,
RK,
Plasma might have. Yeah, Plasma might have missed a pit stop. They had to readjust in the pit box. So RK definitely has one in the pit lane.
Oh yeah, a slow stop for Plasma, and that just gives RK the lead of the race for the second leg of this race.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard fight for Plasma to get back that position, but will it be able to do it? We'll see. Plasma's definitely stronger on the straights.
No, wait!
The Ferrari.
Plasma has a stop go 30.
Wait, really?
In my timing tower, yes, Plasma has a stop go 30.
No.
He's waiting in the pit lane. It's RK for the lead here. Oh no! The stop go 30 curse strikes again for Plasma, and as soon as he stops, I think it's going to be for the podium places. It's a take gang 1-2 with Chris behind.
Oh, that is very, very unfortunate. Unfortunately, I do not see it on my timing tower, but you definitely have. If you see it, that's gonna be unfortunate for the driver. Plasma, when would you learn to not do that when you're racing?
Old habits die hard, I guess. But right now, Plasma trying to make up for lost time. And yeah, Plasma. That's just unfortunate for Plasma. Once again, traditions, old habits die hard.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that one to see. Well, not through the replay, but just to make sure, because I do not have confirmation. Maybe the stewards might have a confirmation here that that Saber Plasma has a stop go 30. By the end of the day, no amount of driving is gonna fix a stop go 30, so that's gonna be unfortunate. Wushel, though, I think has calling it quits this time around, or will they have a second pit stop? I think they might have crashed. Unfortunate for Wushel. It's definitely not the best race for Wushel, so unfortunate for them. But hey, off to next race. You know what next race is?
It's in 2025, and I forgot what circuit is. Oh wait, Snetterton. Yeah.
From hell to
boy. Hell. Yes, from German hell to British hell. Well, I'm a bit of a Snetterton enjoyer, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys will fare in Snetterton, because from what I've heard, Snetterton is one of the most hated circuits here between these guys in Simufur. So it's going to be interesting to see how they will fare.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. But in terms of you're enjoying Snetterton, you are wrong. No one enjoys Snetterton. Goando here fighting for dip in P7 though, for the two Mustangs duking it out. Unfortunately, we do not have Goando's livery for some reason. Definitely a issue that we have to make sure that we solve for the next race. But dip strong in P7. pretty basically defending it. Oh
No,
my
that
god!
is
What
Plasma!
have you done?
Oh
Oh,
no, did it
Plasma.
crash out?
They definitely crashed out. The car is
I
not
think
in
they're
good
retiring
conditions.
from the race. Yeah,
Hmm.
unfortunate for Plasma, our second retiree of the race. But no, wait. Actually, our first. What? Actually, wait. There were a few retirements on the
Yeah,
opening
there
lap.
are a few
Yeah,
retirements that you not
yeah, yeah.
noticed. And
But
then you
yeah,
was the first
Wushel.
retirement.
But I want to point out. No, wait. Wushel just came out for a bit, but right now I think Wushel's definitely retired from this race. So let's see what happened to Plasma. Let's see what happened to that R8 as they head into this section. I believe
Vauxhall.
so. It
Oh, they
happened
took the
there.
triple.
Oh no, the tail
No.
kick in. Oh, that is just
Oh,
unfortunate. The
rest
links
in
got caught
peace.
out. The links got caught out in the foxhole. That is just unfortunate. Plasma. Arcade
Uh,
holds on to a very solid lead with Vossi not too far behind, but Vossi has quite some distance to catch if they want to bring the battle to RK, but it looks like it looks like RK has the lead for now. And is that
oh,
is
who's
that a
that?
Honda? Is that a Honda going slowly? That
I
is a
can't tell.
there's a code 50 right now. And
Oh my god.
ooh.
Barely survived it, but hey, everything's good. Everything's good. So it's good that everything's chilled out a bit. You know, get cars recovering. Good to see that everyone could take a break, take a small water break. But I think as full cost yellows goes away, I think
Yeah.
drivers will start to get going again. But if you look at the timing sheets right now, it's a tick gang lockout for the front. You have RK, Vossi, Danak, Chris starting in the middle before the part show. Then you have the Blue E of Dip before two Cabal drivers, and then all Rex again. So it's definitely a very strong tick gang lockout. I think TGR has had its fair share of good racing, good control here in the Nurburgring, and Full Course Yellow just returned back from everything else. So it's gonna be a boring race podium because T Gang Racing just locks out the entire front grid. There's no fight in front of them, I said now.
Not, his words, not mine. Tig Gang dominance made war fans. But right now it's RK, as you mentioned, RK Bossy and Denak on the podium. It's going to be a Tig Gang lockout for the overall podium. But I do want to point out from chat, our very own Andrea Spitzer checking data on Snetterton. Snetterton's actually the second most hated circuit, just under Coda.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's like Coda's annoying because it's a very long track. Snetterton's annoying because it's a very short track. So it's really up to you. You want to suffer in the long term, you want to suffer in the short term. It's all up to you, buddy. And for me, you know what? Give me Coda. Just give me Coda. I'm fine with Coda. Just don't give me Snetterton.
I would say otherwise. Track limits in Kona is just frustrating. Snowton, if it punishes you if you breach track limits.
It's up to you. You want to get punished or you want to get track limits running. I for one don't get drive-throughs, so I'm happy with Coda. Some drivers some drivers suffer at Snetterton more because of how much punctures you get from just running out wide the grass. So it's all up to preferences. But for now, the
Yeah,
Zzors
yep.
running right in P7 fighting Goyando. They might have to think about who's going to be in front. But Goyando definitely the stronger car between all of them. But they definitely have a Dip in front of them. They definitely do not want to anger Dip. Dip's very strong in defending. But would they hit check them? Maybe, maybe not. I think that's more of the negotiations between the two of them, who gets to go in front of them in this train.
Well, Dipping Sauce holding on quite well for Blue E. The leading Blue E driver here in P6 actually. So just ahead of Cabal and just behind the Tig Gang, Parcho, who's still holding that silver class lead pretty nicely, and by a huge margin, might I add. The next car, Ares Volpez, just 5 positions down on Parcho. So Parcho has a comfortable lead. So I don't think there's anything to risk for Parcho.
Well, maybe, but for now, the Parcho just cruising along. Oh, it's only Goyando and Dip that has to worry about it. Actually, looking back into the timing sheet, everyone has settled down into their own nook. Right now, only Dip is the one in contention for fighting because Dip Guayando's getting a little bit held back. The Ferrari, it's all about the Mustang, but two of them between the two of them, it's all about making sure who has the better setup, who has the better drive. And Guayando seems to have the better drive this time around. We're not sure. I think we'll have to see in a couple of laps. But Guayando pushing as hard as they could, going as well as they could. Zizor still following behind them just to get a little bit of that toe. But I think right now the only one getting toe is definitely Guayando.
Yeah, dipping sauce, an expert here in Nurburgring. I think they've driven this circuit a lot. I'm not sure about their entire track record, but from what I've seen from them, a lot of Nurburgring stuff on ACC in our own team chat. But dipping sauce right now, holding on to Guyana quite well, making use of that Mustang's top speed, but Guyana also has a Mustang, but I think Dip making the most out of it as Guyana slows down, almost running into dipping sauce. Really late on those brakes, Guyana. As
But
dipping
able
sauce
to make it.
continues forward. Yeah, that's right. Guyana now more into that slipstream of dipping sauce, and that's going to help them into turn one.
It's closing in.
Yep,
Will it
there goes
happen though?
Guyana on the outside line, but dipping sauce defends into turn one, and they make it too wide, but Guyana wrapping the outside, not quite.
Whoa.
Dipping sauce defends it.
Small
Oh,
time.
Guyana, a little
Second
bit
time.
of a bump and run. But Guyana aggressively trying to get past the Mustang. They're resorting to NASCAR maneuvers for this stuff.
Might not be their intention, but definitely there is a pace difference. They definitely have to think about a position to send it. Will they send it down into the Dunlop hairpin? Will they do it? I think it's a bit too far to do it. Definitely doable if you're a bit insane, but I think Guando thinks better of it. We have 50 minutes remaining in this race. They definitely can take them on the next lap, though. But Guando, a better exit down to Schumacher Asses. Will that make it work? Nope. A little bit too ambitious for the two of them. Definitely has to cool down a little bit. You know, Dip's a bit better in the Nordschleife, so Guando might just settle about having it fun, having it chill. Zizor's not that far behind, so Team Boss is not gonna care too much about all of this. I don't think they have any team orders anyways regarding all of this, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these all transpire between all of them as Guando goes a bit too wide.
Yeah, Guyando right now looking like the quicker driver between the two cabals. And that could just be Guyando taking advantage of Dipping Sauce's slipstream, but yeah, right now it's Guyando ahead of Caesars and trying, and so no team winners, as you mentioned. It's going to be just the two Mustangs duking it out on each other. Dipping Sauce making the most out of the circuit right now as they continue to fight each other. They also have to contend with the dirty air of Parcho, so that's definitely going to slightly ruin their chances.
Well, yeah, we don't need to worry too much, alright? Parcho is about 1.7 seconds in front, so downforce, toe stuff in front, definitely not the most effective in front. You're gonna get a very big distraction with the fact that there's a Ferrari in front of you, but in terms of pace wise, not much difference. They just gotta make sure that they keep it in front, make sure that they don't get they don't get distracted, and make sure that Guando doesn't get too close to them. And you can see here Dip already stronger in sector 1 in the Nordschleife, already pulling slightly ahead, but Guando better on the longer section stuff because maybe a better setup with better downforce. But for now, definitely it's gonna be a seesaw thing where you see Guando catching up and falling behind.
Yeah, Dipping Sauce right now. Ooh, left-hander king into right-hander, doing well to defend and trying to not let Guyando pass, but I'm kind of starting to think that Parcho might play into either of Dipping Sauce or Guyando's hands because I think they're just slowly inching in. I'm not sure, but with these Mustangs going all out, I think Parcho might inevitably get into the mix as they continue to push each other to the limit.
Well, it depends. Last lap for Parcho was a 9:44 for some reason. So as Chris. Chris also did a 9:45. I'm not sure if that's because of the pit stops or they had some issues. I got a feeling it's issues between the both of them. But Guayando, well, I think that's the problem with the timing sheets because Guayando also did a 9:48. But if we minus out the 1 minute though, if you do it, I think there's a minute difference between the two of them. Chris doing at 8:45, 8:44, 8:46. Times are pretty comparable between all of them.
Ooh, Dipping Sauce right now going for a push on trying to get past Giando, but unfortunately, Giando has to settle with the Nordschleife's narrowness. But Giando definitely much closer than ever before, I think. But right now, again, thinking save it for later because this is the Nordschleife narrow track. So, oh, was that a was that a little slide from Dipping Sauce? I swore I saw Dipping Sauce do a little slide, but doing well to keep it pointing right way.
Yeah, I did though. Strong in the Mustang right now. Currently strong in P6, so definitely not too worried about Guayando. That's gonna happen down in the back straight. But for now, Dip knows this track all too well to care too much about Guayando behind. But as you can see here, even though they care about the corners, not doing the best exits. And right now, Guayando having a good run on Dip. Might they have a move at
Is this the
Bravery?
move?
They don't have the space.
Whoa,
Park it
that
right in
was
the
close,
middle.
but not quite.
But
Great
Guayando definitely
defensive
thinks better of
effort.
it.
Yeah, great defensive effort from Dipping Sauce, but Giyando not giving up just yet. Trying to get the move on to Bravery. Is he brave enough to send it on the
Nah.
left-hander? Not quite. You have to be a mad lad to make a pass that sticks. That's 2 don't go to 1 in Bravery, that's for sure. But Dipping Sauce still ahead of Giyando as it stands.
Yeah, but definitely, Gwenda also thinks better of it because there's so many other corners to take care of to do the move. If you do the move now, what happens is they're gonna get a very big toe at dotting her hole. You might as well just sit back a little bit. You just want to make sure that you don't lose much time here. And Gwenda coming in the very inside of carousel, definitely not the best move. You don't actually want to be on the very inside of the carousel. The small tarmac section actually kind of messes up your car. So you want to make sure that you actually stay on the concrete side of the carousel to make sure that you don't basically mess up the line there and have a good exit. But the mini carousel, though, you want to take as much as inside as you can because the angle of attack isn't as strong on that specific carousel.
Yep, you're right. As you said, definitely down to a game of patience for the back straight for these guys, because again, that's where you want the advantage. That's why, from what I've from what I experienced before, some Nurburgring setups are actually kind of lean towards mid to low downforce because you do have that back straight that'll help you get the extra top speed and overtake your opponents.
To be fair, I think that is the better option here. I think even in iRacing as well, we see that some cars are better, some setups are better for lapping because you get more stability and more consistency in terms of doing some qualifying runs. But when it comes to overtaking, it's like what benefits do you have having a higher downforce when you're behind a car that's basically holding you up, So definitely having a higher top speed is the run to go. But right now, Guayando getting held back by Dip, regardless of where they are. They are better on the straights, they're better in the corners. Definitely not the best moments with Dip, but depends on how hard they're going to defend down into Nottingham Hall. But for now, the last few corners before they come into the mini carousel, before they go into Nottingham Hall. So definitely need to be careful here because if you lose it here, you basically don't have any run at all. So it's all up to the two of them. And will they be able to make it happen, Guando? Just being patient, not overtake now. They can overtake later. But they can't get away. They can't let Dip get away. And Dip is getting away. That is a very big gap here. 4/10 between the two of them. That is going to be a very long catch-up for the Mustang. Will that happen, though? I'm not too confident about it.
It's trickier because Guyando is an equal machinery with Dipping Sauce, so it's going to be much harder to understand the strengths and weaknesses given that they're taking advantage, they're making the time at the same bits, but right now Guyando right alongside Dipping Sauce. Can they make the move? They pulled out the slipstream, took advantage of the toe, but can Guyando go around the outside? It's going to be brave from Guyando. They're side to side. This is not going to go well. It's definitely not go well. There's contact, and oh, there's extra measure, and that's not going to help Guyando. A little tap between them, and there's a code 50 right now.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that code 50 was for that Aston Martin for sure.
Yeah, but the tap on the two of them is really hard to dictate what has happened. Basically, both of them are side by side. If you don't
Paper Sauce come to the pit lane.
Well, yeah, because they couldn't stop for the corner. They basically plowed through the grass and went head on into the barriers right before the start finish straight. So they have to repair. It's gonna be more than 2 minutes of repair for that car. So it's gonna be unfortunate. I don't know as a steward, as a not really a steward, a basically an armchair steward. I don't know if if I'm gonna be putting blame on anyone there, it's an unfortunate incident, but I can't really tell who's to be blamed for that specific incident alone.
Really unfortunate case indeed. I feel like it's more of a race incident as well. It's just hard to put blame on someone. They were just going side to side, and they just a light tap leads into this huge plane crash between these two. Yeah, as you can
Yeah,
see, one slight contact, and yeah, Dipping Sauce just has no way to slow down. Into the wall he goes. Unfortunate for Dipping Sauce.
yeah, definitely very, very, very unfortunate. But unfortunately, that's gonna be the worst time to have a crash right now. With 7 minutes remaining to all of this. Vex though, gonna take advantage of all these incidents and already back up to P10.
Yeah, right now Vex taking advantage, as you said, taking advantage of their teammates' shortcomings and lands into that top 10 spot, and is also, for good measure, P3 in the AM class standings. So Vex actually ahead of Ven, and partial with that, still with that lead, but Vex only has Auras ahead for good measure.
Yeah, it's definitely a very quiet silver class, I might say. Leparcho being far away, RS being the second in the silver class, Vex though, just taking advantage of all the incidents that happen here. But Dip, unfortunately, from P6 drops down to P14 from all the repairs. Good to see them back on grid though, but for now, it's going to be a very long climb and going to be fighting against Saber to get any sort of positions back.
Another driver who has taken advantage a lot from a lot of the incidents that the AM drivers had is Golden Foxtail. So right now they have, for now, having the AM class lead with 5 minutes to go. So that just really proves how consistency can get you great places, as Wolf and Foxtail trundling carefully around the mini carousel, because they do know they have 5 minutes to go. They do not want to give themselves any damage, anything that will slow them down, because they're quite a good distance ahead of 1V. So they got this in the bag. They just have to be careful and hope that they come into the finish line in one piece.
Yeah, and looking at the timing sheet right now, the last lap that RK has done is 8:13. Race ends in 5 minutes. Their lap time currently is coming down into 4 minutes. Will they be able to cross the line before or after the timing ends? That just means if RK wants to set another lap on this race, or will they just slow down? Because at the end of the day, Vossi is 6 seconds behind them. They can afford 6 seconds of just waiting for the timer to run down. But is it a good idea? I think that's up to them to decide. Definitely not the best time to think about all this when you're driving. My calculation says that they will need to take another lap.
Personally, I don't think it's worth risking. RK will just have to settle with doing another lap, because, as you said, he cannot afford to lose time to Vossi, and who knows, Vossi might equally want that win as much as RK. So might as well go hard, go all out, go elbows out, and do that other lap. Worst case scenario.
Maybe I'm just a bit. Maybe I'm just a pessimist. It's like, I don't want to get this over and done with. I wait for it. Oh, Chris, what are you doing?
Whoa, Chris, what is Chris Gator doing?
Lexus
But
not giving him a good time. The tires are definitely gone in the Lexus though, for sure.
yeah, dancing left and right. The tire's not happy with Chris's driving, and I think, was there an incident beforehand? I feel like there was. As we look into the replay, there might have been. And yeah, oh Chris, oh no, not yet.
No, just
Let's
going a little bit
wait,
sideways. I feel like.
wait. Oh, Chris goes
Oh,
360, 270 actually. Oh
save it.
my goodness, saved it. Nice save. Did not touch the wall at all, I think. That was great.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Good to see that the Lexus still holding on though, but I think drivers are starting to show that fatigue though. The Nurburgring definitely brutal in terms of its physical strain as well as its mental strain. Drivers need to remember every single corner, need to make sure the car doesn't just give up under them, and if the car doesn't give them up, their brains definitely giving them up right now. As you see here, Chris already struggling to just basically end this race, and it's insane how we drivers just drive through it 24 hours without issues. Meanwhile, we're here basically grasping for air, just at a 1 hour sprint.
Yeah, the 24 hours of Nurburgring has got to be a challenge for these guys. If this is what 1 hour of Nurburgring does to them, I. Speaking of the 24 hours of Nurburgring, I'm kind of interested in joining the iRacing 24 hours of Nurburgring if the Simufur iRacing team wants to. So, oh, looks like we have a retirement from Dipping Sauce by the looks of it. But as we pan into Wolf and Foxtail, he was still leading this race and just biding his time, just being careful with all these corners. That's the strategy for him. But yes, as we look over to Dipping Sauce, might have had an incident. I think they understeered a bit. I'm not sure. Let's see. Next corner, yeah. Oh, they just lose out their
Oh
brake
no.
wall. Unfortunate for Dipping Sauce. They they were in contention for top 10, and unfortunately, that incident with Giondo just took all of that away for him. Anyways, we look at Wolf and Foxtail again, who is again taking his time. They do not need to risk anything. They do have the lead in their hands in that Blue E BMW. So at least Blue E taking something good for the team, taking something good for the team in the AM class. It's taking for the pro class, taking silver class. While Blue E right there celebrating the small soft, celebrating that M class win. That's for sure. That's what we'll
RK
be
is gonna be
doing.
close to the line though, but will RK be able to set with 1 minute remaining? Will they be able
Oh
to
yeah, that's right. One
cross the
minute to
line though?
go. That is, yeah, 1 minute to
Actually, no. They
go.
have to take it because at the end of the day, right now, their lap time's about 8 minutes. 8 minutes, and we only have a minute remaining. There will be another lap. That
Well,
that
let's find out.
there
Here
will
we
be another
go.
lap. Right
Well, I
now,
don't
coming
know.
down
Who
into
knows?
dotting the hall, going into the Pilstein Bridge, will they be able to make it down into uh, Tiergarten,
Yep,
Hohenrain?
definitely one lap to go. Definitely one lap to go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a white
All
flag
right.
for the T Gang Racing RK. So the rest of them are gonna groan in anger as we have another lap to go. But for the rest,
That's for
but for
sure.
RK, it's gonna be like, you know what? We're here. Might as well just take another lap.
Yeah, one more lap, and RK could call himself the king of the ring here in Simufur. But again, it's going to be a demanding lap, 8 minutes of this whole circuit. So RK just has it's a do or die situation because Vossi equally wants that win and is doing whatever it takes. But for now, I think RK has this in the bag. We're looking to a replay of Vossi right now. Let's see what happened here. And going a bit, nope, taking that quite nicely. So into the mini. Oh, that's understeer into the mini
Oh no.
carousel. That is not good for their case. Vossi just that's gonna cost them extra time compared to RK. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think at this point, as you see here, drivers are slowly just letting go. Everyone's just trying to relax. They can't relax right now. We still have another lap. I think everyone's getting caught out by this, and it's not the best position to be in, because as you can see, the sun's setting down. The drivers are trying to relax. Everyone's like, you know what? It's been a very long weekend. I really want to take a break. Unfortunately for them, the break's not there yet. They have to keep going. They can't apply for the breaks yet. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how all the drivers just slowly decompress themselves, hopefully not decompress themselves too much, especially for drivers that are still fighting for positions. Right now, most of the gap has been spread out, but that doesn't mean that you can't fight for positions right now. Guayando and Zizors both still within 2 seconds of each other. Saber on the fight with Swingley. Swingley has caused has had some incidents happen, but Saber has got. Oh, actually, Swingley's in the pits for some reason. But actually, for fuel, I got a feeling they might be in for fuel, but Saber bits just like that got to be 12. I think Swingley also has a position with how messed up the car is. So you see, drivers still can gain position from all this. Slowly but surely, drivers will settle in for the last lap. But it's definitely not a time to relax for sure.
Yeah, flip. It's going to be interesting to see who underfueled and who has enough fuel for that extra lap that RK had to put everyone. Because Swingley for sure, I think that was for sure an under pit stop for more fuel. unfortunate for the number 279 Garage 42 Aston Martin, the first and what looks like the only victim of underfueling because they did not account for RK putting in that extra lap.
Yeah, definitely not the best thing to do. Usually we'll add a lap or so of margin, but definitely Swingley did forgot to add the lap of margin. I think that's gonna be unfortunate for them. They good for them is that they didn't lose out much points. They lose out one position through all this, but that's gonna be position that they should have kept for their overall points. But for now, just the remaining. So right now, RK in first, Vossi in second, Danang in third, Chris, as you see here in the Lexus, in fourth, Departure fifth, Guayando in the Mustang in P6, Zors in P7, Rex P8, Auras in P9, a good finish for them. Vex, they round out the top 10 in P10.
For now, yes, as you said, it's RK with the lead, and RK with the lead overall, just completing the final lap. In the silver class, it's Parcho, and in the Yam class, it looks like it's going to be Wolf and Foxtail, but I don't think Juan V can close that gap. That is a huge margin, and Wolfen's
No,
strategy is
definitely
going to
not.
take it carefully. Definitely not. Yeah, 1v
Yeah,
might. Yeah, this is Wolfen taking it nice and easy. Don't push too hard because 1v's a long way ahead, long way behind. I mean, so you got this in the bag as long as you don't slow down too much or just slow down enough so that you don't get involved in incidents. That's the strategy that I think they're taking on right now. And what a win this would be. I think the last time Wolfen won in the AM class was in the GT2 series in the Nurburgring. I'm not sure if it was the FNL series or if the main series had a Nurburgring race. But Wolfen's last win in the Nurburgring, it's gonna be I think it's going to be great for Wolfen to have their second win here in the Nurburgring again, and
yeah.
not to mention the full 24-hour layout. Wolfen right is essentially the king of the ring here in the AM class.
But yeah, so I was gonna say, just now looking a little bit at Lunar, that's one driver that we have not paid attention at all. Yeah, but Lunar, the driver that we have not paid attention at all, if you see here, just surviving the entire race as well, just gained 11 positions throughout this whole race. Definitely a driver that, is very experienced in the N24. I've definitely raced with Lunar here in iRacing for the N24 series, but ACC is definitely a whole different beast. You have a car that's basically not the most well set up. I think Lunar didn't put much effort into that setup because of some chats we had in background, but that's more because they're not really sure what to do here. We don't have much open resources as we usually do in iRacing, but for them, it's definitely a track that they are glad that they finish because just finishing already lets them 11 positions, so they're gonna be really happy through all this though. But now RK coming down into the last sectors of the Nordschleife though, coming down into Wipperman, then into Brunchen. So it's gonna be the last moments to have fun here through Wipperman, then Brunchen, and it's gonna be the last corners before the end of the race.
Might I mention what was I gonna say? Yeah, actually there are 18 drivers right now still in this race. So compare that to the 30 something entrants we have, that is almost half the field retiring. And these 18 standing with and I think they will be able to score full points because they completed 75% of the race distance. So it's this just highlights how the Nurburgring is more about survival. From 30 something, we have 18 who have actually survived the whole ordeal, and massive kudos to them. That takes a lot of effort to survive the whole ordeal, survive this whole circuit as a whole.
Yeah, definitely a good effort for all drivers that have survived through all this. There's only 18 drivers remaining on the grid that have been driving. Most drivers have had incidents, and it's always a bad feeling for drivers that are unable to finish their races, especially in the N24. It is such a big event for most drivers. It's such a big achievement to be able to finish a race here in N24, but it's definitely the survival of the fittest here. It's really the one track that tells you if you are a really good race car driver as well. As you see here, Kvyat, I think, crashing out and parking on the side of the road. It's all so close to finishing this race. They should really just, just push it. It's the last race, and it's the last few minutes anyways. As RK already coming down into Bilstein corner, Bilstein Bridge, coming down into close to Tiergarten, and it's gonna be the last few corners for RK, and it's gonna be the last lap of this race.
Yeah, RK only has that winding section to go, the same section that caught out a lot of the pro drivers. But RK, one more corner to go, and he could call himself the king of the ring in Simufur. RK just has the straight to go and will take the win here in round 2 of the Simufur GT3 series, here in the 24-hour layout. RK is your king of the ring.
A wonderful drive by RK though, no mistakes, keeping it all nice and clean though. But unfortunate for Plasma, a wonderful drive for RK though. Vossi coming down into P2, and it's gonna be Danek gonna join them close later in P3, and that's gonna be a TGR lockout for this N24 layout of the Nurburgring. Wonderful drive for all three of them. Amazing drive, and the next driver will be crossing the line will be Chris in the Lexus, followed by Laporcho. So definitely a very filled TGR front gang, as the three of them gonna have a very fun photo shoot at turn 1. Chris just crossed the line here for P4. Amazing drive for them. Hopefully they don't go bowling with all three of them at the specific corner, and they do go bowling almost, as they have donuts around the Laporcho. The fourth TGR car coming in. Oh, almost get caught out. Whoops.
Yeah. Well, that's the TIG gang meeting that the TIG gang drivers want. That's for sure. Parcho celebrating a silver class win, and the 3 TIG gangs celebrating a podium lockout. It is a big day for TIG gang racing here in the Nurburgring.
Yeah, definitely amazing drive for all of them though. Yeah, wonderful drive for all of them. Ores coming to P8. Where's P10? What happened to Ven and Vex? I think Vex is still there. I think some of the drivers are logging off, so timing sheets I have gone a little bit haywire though. But Ven finishing in front of Vex. What has happened to Vex? But Ven gonna take P3 out of all this. Oh my god, that is a very messed up BMW though. I think that's from Vex. I think something has happened to them. But for now, Sabers, the last one to come is B10. I think the both of us commentary have checked out this race as well. It's been such a weird race for all of them though. But the remaining drivers on the track right now, Swingley, Wolfin, Huang V, and Lunar are the remaining drivers that are on track right now. But Wolfin's still in the middle of the track, so it's going to be a very long drive for Wolfin, and it's going to be a very long drive for Huang V. So 2 minutes is the gap between Wolfin and Huang V. So hopefully no issues between all these drivers. It's gonna be interesting to see if there's any incidents between them during the final few corners of this race. But for now, I think it's safe to say that the standings have been settled down. It's gonna be Swingley coming in for, P11 for now. Actually, not sure if timing is accurate now since that people have logged off in the Aston Martin. The last silver, actually no, the second last silver driver. Lunar is gonna be the last silver driver to pass, and it's gonna be Wolfin and Huang V, the remaining that's gonna be taking the last will be taking the finish line.
Yeah, Wolfin has a long way to go, but Huang V has a longer way to go. I think they're all the way back at the earlier sections of the Nordschleife, so still a lot of time. I'm not sure how cooldowns are in ACT, but right, I think they might be able to come towards the checkered flag, but I'm not sure. But Wolfin just has a few corners to go before officially claiming the AM class win. They just have to hold out against 1B, and they got this in the bag. I think Wolfman's just taking it as careful as he can, because again, no risking here, because 1B's a long way back, and yeah, you just have a few corners to go, Wolfman. Good job.
Yeah, it's definitely a very slow drive as Wolfen gets into the mini cars. Actually, where is Huanvi? I can't even tell. But looking at the timing sheet, it's going to be a very far drive away. So I'm not sure if they even need to finish this lap. I think ACC will definitely just auto send them into reset as they finish up the timing sheet. Though, not sure if that's the thing. Maybe, but unless the timer runs out, it's gonna be Wolfen coming down into the final few corners as they just finished the mini carousel just then, as we saw before. We swap into Huang V coming down to Dotting Hall. They'll be the last time they can finally have a sigh of relief, and they'll be the second last driver to finish this race.
Yeah, well, Wolfen's definitely in the back straight. Only has a few more corners to go before he can officially claim the win for himself here. And yeah, right now Wolfen just slowing down carefully, and that's definitely the AM class win sealed for Wolfen. Wolfen coming down the final corner, putting the power down and taking the AM class lead, a AM class win of this race.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure, yes, Wolfen right now weaving, celebrating. He's definitely happy with that result. An AM class win. 2 AM class wins for Wolfen, and they're both in the Nurburgring.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Donuts,
definitely a
donuts.
very fun race, all that. But is Wolfen gonna do donuts? I think Wolfen's not gonna do donuts. I think Wolfen's gonna take a small
Yeah.
break and just send it back to the pits. Oh, I see a little
Oh,
movement.
oh, is he, is he,
Oh,
is he?
oh,
Come on. I hear the reference.
donuts.
Yeah,
Send it in.
yeah, there we go! Woo!
Uh,
Donuts for the AM class winner, Wolfen Foxdale. We definitely do not want to leave that out. In the gravel as well, spinning it, kicking dust all over. And that's going to be the AM class win for Wolfen, while Juan V has to settle for P2. And oh, yeah, unfortunate for Juan V. They did have the pole position, but unfortunately, a major accident saw them crawling throughout the whole Nordschleife and seeing those positions drop before his very eyes.
it's definitely fun to see them still pushing hard though. Gotta remember,
Mm-hmm.
all any track time is track time in the Nurburgring, so can't just take it slow. Definitely a fun drive for them, just to be on their own. It's basically a private track time for this for Huang V. So the last remaining driver, not sure if they know there's a bunch of eyes looking at them right now just to finish it all.
Yeah, Juan V, the last man out on track, unfortunately getting caught up in that incident. So it's oh nope,
No,
there, yep,
no.
oh nope. But yeah, 1v has the back straight to go, and we can officially end this race. And might I add, this is the last race of the year for Simufur. Our next race in Snetterton will be taking place in 2025. But to fill that gap, there's a lot more coming for Simufur if you join the Simufur Discord at discord/gg, discord.gg/Simufur. So if you want to join in the fun, maybe join in some of the Christmas festivities that we will be having in mind. We might have our annual year-end Wreckfest session, that's for sure. But yeah, if you want to catch up, want to hang out with us for the rest of the year while we wait for the next race, there might be a few unofficial races that our community has in mind. So go ahead, join the Simifur Discord at discord.gg/Simifur.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very tiring race after MFF last week, as well as Forum for some of the drivers. So it's nice to see the drivers still going at it. But next round, as you said, Snarton is gonna be. Is it next week or is it a few weeks? I gotta double check. But yeah, just checking. Snarton is gonna be on the 6th of January. So as what do you call Suzuka had just said. Festive fun is gonna happen on the 25th, I think. Actually, do you know if there's
Yeah,
any events happening, Suzuka?
I have no
Because
idea, but
I know
I
that there
do
might
have a
be a rumored
feeling.
breakfast.
I do have a feeling we might have our annual Wreckfest races. There's that. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's
But
gonna be
yeah,
interesting
for
to see how it
now,
goes. But I was gonna say, Saracen round 3 is gonna be on 6th of January. So if you liked what you see, definitely subscribe to the YouTubes. But I think I'm gonna let Suzuka close it off for us.
yeah, That was the that was a very interesting race for sure. It was a Take Gang podium lockout, Take Gang 7 win, and Blue E M class win. So I'm definitely happy with that. That was a great race. It's just very interesting drama. We thought Plasma had it had it in the bag, but unfortunately his old habits died hard, and he had a drive through and an incident that unfortunately saw them retiring. So yeah, that should conclude our racing. So see you in Snare-Tune in 2025, but don't go just yet. Feel free to join the Simufur Discord for our annual Christmas festivities. So yeah, again, see you guys.
Bye.